Try out our free-flow plug-and-play spas starting at $42.95. Explore endless pool swim spas, Finleo saunas, hot tubs, cold plunges, indoor and outdoor game tables, grills, and more. Atlantic Spas and Billiards is family-owned with local service. We service what we sell. Come by our store on Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh today and experience wellness, relaxation, and fun.
Listen to The Adam Gold Show afternoons from 12 to 3. And if you miss any part of the program, like and subscribe to The Adam Gold Show podcast presented by Hempy's, North Carolina's premium hemp dispensary. Order at hempy's.co by 9 p.m. for free same-day delivery.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole!
That's ritchielaw.com. WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
Now back to SGA on the wing. Bounces on top to Williams. 2 extra passes. Caruso for 3. Buries it. Great ball movement for Oklahoma City. Final seconds are going to tick off. And the Oklahoma City Thunder again bounce back after a loss in the postseason. A must-win for OKC. They've evened the NBA Finals at 1. And we're on to Indianapolis for Game 3 on Wednesday night.
It's the Adam Gold Show. What's going on, everybody?
You're back.
I am. I never really left. I mean, I wasn't here. We spent a lot of time over at Wake Med Soccer Park. Did a lot of driving. I did find out that, and I will not be here tomorrow.
Whoa.
Yes, but I'll be back Wednesday for the balance of the week. My son, who is a goalkeeper, a soccer goalkeeper, will have surgery tomorrow to repair a broken bone in his finger.
Oh, no.
Yes. That injury happened at was beginning of May at a state event.
Oh.
And a couple of weeks later, he felt good enough to play in another event. We played. And still bothering him a little bit to the point where it didn't feel right. So they like, yeah, you should have surgery. Didn't stop him from playing this weekend.
Of course not.
But anyway,
That's
so I will not be here tomorrow. But back on Wednesday. Lots to do. First of all, TST is the soccer tournament. Final matches are tonight. The women's final, men's final, each for $1 million to the winner, 0 to the losers.
Yikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Big stakes.
That very much so. The U.S. women, Heather O'Reilly, Carly Lloyd, Allie Krieger, and company, as well as, a whole bunch of UNC women's players. They are vying to repeat as champions. This is the second of the 3 years. Second time there has been a separate women's bracket. In the first year, there were I think the U.S. women just had a team, and they were just in the general bracket, which, yeah, they were at a significant disadvantage. Anyway, so they're going for their second straight title. On the men's side, it is Bumpy Pitch. Great name. By the way, the women's version of Bumpy Pitch is also playing for the title. They're playing against U.S. women. Bumpy Pitch against Pumas. And Pumas is a club in the Mexican League, but of course this is not the same one, but a derivative of that. And they are playing against Bumpy Pitch for the men's title. But I watched their semifinal match against Pat McAfee's team.
Oh, did you?
Conquefa SC yesterday, and Pumas is no joke.
Ah.
I have not seen Bumpy Pitch. I saw about 20 minutes of their match, so the first half of their match earlier in the week, a group stage match, but I didn't pay particularly close attention to how good Bumpy Pitch was, but they haven't lost, and they're here, so I'm sure they don't suck.
They're not Pumasing around.
No.
Whatever that means.
But should be a lot of fun tonight. If you have a ticket, both matches tonight for $1 million. 7 o'clock for the women, and then 8:30 for the men. They're also both on television, and I think the production values have been really good if you have been watching on TV. But, man, this is year 3, and the event gets bigger and longer. I remember the first year it was a little shorter. I think we tacked on an extra day. The championship matches now Monday. These are the only 2 matches of the day today. Yesterday, they had only the 4 semifinals. In the morning, they had a bunch of the youth championship matches because there's a corresponding youth event over this weekend. That's what Jack played in this weekend.
Oh.
Yes. And I'm not going to get into a long story that he could have played at WakeMed yesterday morning, but for a disqualification.
Oh, no.
And we'll just leave it at that. It's not as bad as it might sound. I'll just let your imagination run wild.
There you go.
But the team that he was playing with in the semifinals was ultimately disqualified from the final, and it's just fun. No big deal, no harm, no foul. Congratulations to, in his group, Soccer Genome won it.
Okay.
So there you go.
It's consistently stayed warm, though, right? Isn't it every year? It's like
No. The first year, the weather was amazing for like the first 2.5, 3 days.
Yeah.
And then it got really hot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really brutal
Yeah.
when it's really hot, especially on the plastic seats at WakeMed Soccer Park.
It's no good. It's not good.
Like the metal bleachers are way better than the plastic seats.
And see, you would never think that,
Holy
but I believe
cow.
you.
But yeah, there was also a lot of rain earlier in the week. So, and we were out there. Gosh, I probably spent 4 hours out there in driving rain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was just no good.
Oh, that's fun.
No good. I thought the jacket I was wearing was waterproof. It wasn't.
That's a heck of a time to learn. It's not.
Yeah, it's like, wait a second. I thought this was, no, it's not.
No,
I guess
feel
not.
things.
Oh, that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was still fun. I hope they keep coming back year after year after year after year. The event is just awesome. All right, we should begin. I know we started. The highlight was from the NBA Finals Game 2 yesterday. We will get to that during our little open here. Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN, will join us at the bottom of the hour. They finally dragged Aaron Rodgers in.
I know some news broke while you were gone.
Yes. They finally dragged Aaron Rodgers in. So we'll talk about that with her. First of all, I don't know how many people really into it yesterday, but I was, and it was one of the greatest men's Grand Slam tennis finals ever. As Carlos Alcaraz won his second consecutive French Open title. He beat Yannick Sinner from Italy. He beat Sinner in the semifinals last year, beat him in the finals. First time in Alcaraz's career, he rallied from 2-0 down to win. And it was simply an amazing match. Sinner won the first set, won the second set in a tiebreak. Alcaraz came back, won the third set, fourth set in a tiebreak. I believe it was the fourth set in a tiebreak. And then won the fifth set in a fifth set super tiebreak where you played a first to 10 as opposed to 7 in normal sets. And Alcaraz saved his best for last and absolutely blew Sinner away in the fifth set tiebreak. And I know it was very popular for people to go, well, that's the greatest tennis match I ever watched. And for some of you, it might have been. I'm not arguing. It was an incredible match. Both players played at a ridiculously high level. I don't know that it rises to the greatest match I ever saw, but man, it's on a short list, so I'm not going to get into a long debate about it. For me, 2 matches stand out above it. Borg, McEnroe from the semifinals, 1980 at Wimbledon. I'm significantly older than a lot of you people. That to me that's still the greatest match I ever saw. And I believe 2009 Wimbledon final with Federer and Nadal, which was an incredible, incredible match. And already by 2 players who were historically significant. And I don't think we can say that about yesterday's match. Alcaraz. And Sinner's great, but we don't know about history yet, really, for either player. But either way, incredible match, tons of fun. More than about 5.5 hours worth of Grand Slam tennis.
Wow.
Think about doing anything
Yeah.
other than sleep
I know.
or binge watching Blacklist or whatever show you wanted to binge watch for 5.5 hours.
Sometimes that's a struggle.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. These two dudes went at each other on a tennis court for 5.5 hours. It was awesome. It was incredibly good tennis, and it It eliminated a productive Sunday.
Oh, well, all right. That's one way to put it. I like it.
I mean, no joke. We got a late start anyway for various things that we did on Saturday that we just needed a break. We got a late start to begin with. We come back into the house. It's like 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look. The French Open final is on. I turned it on. It was still in the first set. The day vanished to the point where we were watching. I'm like, well, it's like almost noon.
Now it's dinner time.
It's like, what do I have for breakfast? And Aileen said, well, there's hot dogs. I'm like, but it's breakfast. She goes,
It's not.
it's noon. I'm like, good point.
Right.
So we broiled hot dogs. That was breakfast.
Hey, it's brunch. It's Sunday.
Very good hot dogs.
Nice.
Shouts to you, Fresh Market. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Like your stuff.
So we watched, literally, I watched 5 hours of tennis. That's
Good
what
for
I
you.
did. That's what I did on Sunday.
Good for you.
Yeah, but all the stuff we had to do, we still had to do.
Yeah.
So it just got started pretty late.
Wow.
Anyway, there's that. Real quick, Coco Gauff, congratulations. She won the women's final on Saturday. I know Irina Sabalenka was, well, she didn't really, but she wasn't so great. I just made some mistakes. Wah, wah, wah. Stop. I hate that. You know what? You can learn a lot by how people lose graciously. Sinner and Alcaraz. I mean, Alcaraz obviously won, so total class. But Sinner, complete class in how he handled a match that he had. 2 sets up. Not only did he have Alcaraz at, I believe, serving at 3-5 in the third set, he had him at love 40. So 3 championship points on Alcaraz's serve, but then Sinner served for the match and got broken. So he had the match on his racket twice and couldn't pull it off. So he could have been bitter. He could have been angry. It's like, I let it get away.
Right.
Never said it. Class. Just show class in a loss. All right. Tonight, Stanley Cup Finals. Game 3.
Yep.
Look, these games have both been amazing.
Oh, yeah.
The first periods of both games, I believe, right, have been stupid.
Yes.
Right? Just what's going on here?
Yeah.
Why are there so many goals?
Game's
and then
worth.
it
Yep.
slows down.
Yes.
At least in terms of the scoring. Leon Draisaitl, overtime winner in Game 1. Double overtime, Brad Marchand in Game 2. So he scored shorthanded and then had an overtime game winner. Like, while nobody's paying attention, Brad Marchand could end up being the Stanley Cup. He could win the Conn Smythe.
He could. It's ridiculous, but he could.
He really could.
Yep.
For against the team which hated him
Yes.
3 months ago. 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Hated Brad Marchand, but now, like, you're one of us, and you could help us win. But it's been incredibly good hockey, as you could expect. But the games have been, I mean, high tempo, scoring chances all over the place. Mistakes, too. It has not been perfectly clean hockey, but boy, has it been fun, and I cannot wait for game number 3 tonight. NBA Finals also 1-1 going back to Indiana for game 3. I don't know if game 3 is tomorrow or because now we have to have extra days for travel. We shouldn't need it. It's not that we're not going around the globe, but we had an extra day off in the NHL and the Stanley Cup Finals, and I believe we have I don't think they play again until Thursday for Game 4.
It looks like Wednesday, June 11th
is the
at
NBA.
8:30. Mm-hmm.
Is the NBA game.
Game 3.
And then Stanley Cup Finals Game 4 will be Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, we're not even traveling in Florida.
No.
Just hanging out at the beach
Right.
for a day. Anyway, but the NBA Finals has also been super entertaining, and Indiana's doing what Indiana does, which is, are we down 20? Now we can play.
Right.
So they didn't come back in Game 2. So Oklahoma City and Indiana are 1-1 apiece. But just getting back to the NBA, to the Stanley Cup Finals, I saw an article from Greg Wyshynski yesterday talking about how Marchand now wants to stay in Florida and might even agree to a contract before free agency.
Oh, wow.
So, having looked enough at a lot of the salary cap situations for teams, I know there was a lot of shade about Florida beating the salary cap by using long-term injured reserve, as though every team in the league hasn't done that. It ain't, it's not that complicated. The Hurricanes did it. Every team has used it when they could. The Panthers don't have to worry about it next year because the Florida Panthers next year, they have $19 million under the cap. Now, setting Brad Marchand aside, the other two notable free agents for them, unrestricted free agents, are defenseman Aaron Ekblad, who's was the third pick in whatever draft year it was that he came out, 15 or so, whatever I think it was. He's an unrestricted free agent.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Bennett.
Yep.
Now, could they keep both Ekblad and Bennett and Marchand? And the answer is, it depends on how friendly Ekblad and Bennett choose to be to the Panthers. Here's what I know for an absolute certainty. On the open market, if they go to July 1 and other teams start throwing numbers at Ekblad and Bennett, the numbers will be enormous. Ekblad will probably command anywhere from, but he's not a huge offensive piece, but he's a great top defenseman. So could Ekblad get $8.5 million, $9 million on the open market? Probably. Sam Bennett, who, oddly enough, is not a huge point producer during the regular season, but is in the playoffs. If Bennett gets to market, there's no doubt he's going to get $9 million a year, maybe 10. But does he want to stay in Florida for 7, 6.5, which would be about a $2 million raise over this year?
Yeah.
Or does he want to go and cash in? I don't know. I have no idea what Sam Bennett wants. But the Panthers, who got Sam Reinhart, who scored more than 50 goals, to agree to a contract that was about $3 million a year less than somebody who scored 50 goals would get on the open market. Could they get Bennett at 7 times 7, 8 times 7, whatever that number is? Could they get Ekblad at 8 times 7 and have $4.5 to $5 million for Marchand?
Right.
Right? So they could get all three on friendly deals.
Wow. Before
people go bananas about there's the advantage of the no state tax. Right. It isn't worth as much money as you think. What I have been told is that it's worth about $500,000. Is it insignificant? No. Is it the deal breaker? No, it isn't. So Could Florida get all three back and still be able to build their team out around the edges? And the answer is, yep, they could. And then you're going to have to deal with that team again.
Nobody wants to do that.
I just wanted to point that out. So, Hurricanes fans who would love Sam Bennett or a player like Sam Bennett, I doubt it would be Sam Bennett. And frankly, if Bennett goes to July 1, I don't think Carolina would want to pay Sam Bennett what some other team would, because frankly, it would be overpaying a player, severely overpaying a player. I've always said this, the Hurricanes don't like free agency because they like to adhere to a value system, and they're not going to expand that value for any player. They want to pay what the proper value is for the player, and free agency always adds, I don't know, $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
In Bennett's case, maybe 2 or 3.
Could.
Because Sam Bennett is probably properly valued about $7.5 to $8 million. But you watch, if he goes to July 1, what that number is going to be. All right. There's a bunch of other things we could talk about with the Canes, and we will. And the NBA Finals are also going on. But college baseball, and we're going to talk to Aaron Fitt later on. Duke has a chance to get to a College World Series for the first time in school history tonight, 7 o'clock. It's the only game left. We have 7 of the 8 teams already slotted for Omaha. Duke and Murray State with a chance to be the 8th team. I don't know what I assume the final was 19-9 yesterday. That number is, I can't even explain it. But that's what Murray State did in their regional win. Who did they beat in their Ole Miss? That's basically what they did to Ole Miss in the second game. They blew Ole Miss out and then had a big lead and nearly blew it all in their final game that Monday night. So hopefully Duke will have better pitching than they did yesterday. It got away from them in the middle innings. I know Kyle Johnson started, didn't really have it. By the time he was out, I think he was charged with 6 runs. But Duke was right in it. It was 10-8 Murray State. It was 10-8 Murray State like in the 6th inning. Plenty of time. And all of a sudden, Murray State just opened up a can. So now we go to tonight, and Duke's got a plan. And we'll see what happens if Chris Pollard can make it to the College World Series. It's been an incredible run at Duke. But, man, Carolina lost yesterday. Remember we talked to Aaron Fitt at the very beginning of this. He's with D1Baseball.com, and again, he'll talk to us in about a little bit more than 2 hours. And he said Carolina's the best team. And I know how many Tar Heel fans were watching the regionals, the first round, going, yeah, we're the best team. And it ended up going to that rubber game with Oklahoma. And they won that game comfortably. And then it went to a third game with Arizona yesterday after Carolina lost the second game. They won the first game comfortably, lost the second game, and then made some mistakes late. Defense let them down, and their bats let them down too, and they lost 4-3 to the Wildcats. And Carolina's not going to the College World Series. As good a team as this was, not going to the College World Series. Matter of fact, right now the ACC only has one team in. Louisville, who beat Miami. They are headed to the College World Series. Duke is trying to make it 2. I believe it would be Duke and, rather, the ACC and the SEC would each have 2. You've got good Pac-12 representation, except only one of those teams is still in the Pac-12. Oregon State, who beat Florida State, UCLA, who's now in the Big Ten, they're in, and Arizona, who's now in the Big 12, but used to be in the Pac-12. They're also in. But I think Arkansas and LSU have made it from the SEC. Coastal Carolina, who beat East Carolina in the regional. Coastal went through Auburn and advanced to the College World Series again. So should be fun. We'll keep an eye on it tonight, 7 o'clock, Duke and Murray State. It'll be on ESPN. All right, speaking of ESPN, Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler. I saw a very interesting online poll. I don't even know who put it out there, but I answered it, and I think I answered it honestly, even though I don't think either is in a great situation. Which NFL team is in a better quarterback situation? The Pittsburgh Steelers or the New York Jets?
I knew that was coming
right?
up.
Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, the Jets with Justin Fields.
Yep.
And my honest answer was Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Because I believe while the Steelers are a better team and closer to winning, I don't think Aaron Rodgers, especially in that division, is going to be able to do for them what he did a decade ago for the Green Bay Packers. It's just not consistently there. Now, I will allow for this. Albeit, offensively, the Steelers have not been awesomely coached. The Jets have not been awesomely coached in a long time. So it could very well have been the Jets were just poorly coached. And it didn't allow Aaron Rodgers to show him in his best light. But man, I saw Aaron make a lot of bad throws last year. And I just don't know if he's got it. But we'll talk to Brooke Pryor, whose world just got that much more interesting. I don't know about better. Interesting. And Brooke Pryor from ESPN joins us next.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina.
to the canes,
She scores!
he covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Champions are crowned on 99.9 The Fan.
They score! Corey Perry got to it. Game 2 is tied.
Hockey tonight. Florida, Edmonton in the Stanley Cup Final. Game 3. Puck drop at 8.
Marchand takes the pass from Lundell. Partial break. Now he scored! And he pokes it through the Edmonton netminder for an overtime game winner.
On your audio home for the Stanley Cup Final. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I know we're just starting a new week, but maybe you're already thinking about taking the bike out for Father's Day this weekend. I'm Victoria Vodnecker here for Law Tigers, and the weather may not be the clearest this weekend, depending on where you'll be, so it'll be extra important to remember things like adjusting your speed by slowing down in case you do get caught in the rain. And if it looks like there's going to be a good chance of it, wear bright colors so you are as visible as possible to others. These are all things you could do to help prevent an accident, but sometimes that's just not enough, and motorcycle wrecks happen that weren't your fault. But in the case that it does, make sure to always call Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're riders too, so they get it. They know the value of your bike, your gear, the investment that you've made, the precautions that you've made, and what it's like to go through an accident. Case evaluations are always free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. But not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
Handy Hugo's has a refreshing deal. 2 1-liter Pepsis for just $3. Quench your thirst at Handy Hugo's today.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here for my friends at Buffalo Brothers. We're close to crowning a hockey champion, and when I'm not calling playoff games around the country, the first thing I do when I'm back in the Triangle is head to Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet, and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, like half-price pizzas, Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and a $6 Bloody Mary on Sunday. Dine in, carry out, get it delivered. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
This is Adam Gold.
I told Tim, who does the afternoon show, I said, I'm about to turn this game around. We need Cheez-Its. So I went to go get magical Lucky Cheez-Its, and guess what? Boom. Period 2, tied it up. And then at the end of the game, I still had like 8 Cheez-Its in the cup left, and I said, Lucky Cheez-Its.
There you go.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the 1s and 2s.
This one specifically for Brooke and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, my gosh. I said before the break that Brooke Pryor, dear friend, covers the Pittsburgh Steelers and the NFL for ESPN and ESPN.com. I said that her world just got much more interesting. I don't know if that means better, but certainly more interesting. So, Brooke Pryor, how would you phrase how your world has now turned with Aaron Rodgers signing on the dotted line with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Interesting is a great word for it. I have been telling people it is great for business, terrible for mental health, terrible for work-life balance. But I said to my husband a couple of days ago, I am so excited to be back at the epicenter of the sports universe. And then this morning I told him I'm so tired, and he said, "What happened to the girl that was excited to be at the epicenter?" And I was like, "She needs a nap. Okay, she needs a nap."
I totally understand. I'm always on your side. So I am Team Brooke Pryor. All right, let's dig into did he show up at OTAs, or he's already doing things he's never done before?
He got here after OTAs. It is interesting, though. It's a little bit of a reversal, because when he was in New York, he showed up to OTAs and then he skipped minicamp to famously go to Egypt. This time around, he did not sign before OTAs, so wasn't required to be here. Also, wouldn't have been required to be here even if he had signed. They're voluntary.
Right.
But he informed the Steelers on Thursday, I believe, that he was definitely signing, arrived in Pittsburgh Friday night, came to the facility Saturday morning, did his physical, signed the contract, signed a jersey, did the whole shebang, and then he's expected to be at minicamp on Tuesday. And we will talk to him Tuesday afternoon after practice, which should wrap up a little after 3 o'clock.
That is remarkable. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was interesting in New York, and honestly, man, it's almost sad that the injury happened so early. I mean, obviously 4 plays into year one, because to me that was the year that if the Jets were going to do anything, it was going to be that one. I know he wanted to run it back, and they did too, but it was never going to work. They didn't have the same team that they had his first year. The level of expectation in Steelers country is never going to be anything less than winning a Super Bowl. So what are the reasonable expectations for this team with this quarterback?
I don't know that Aaron Rodgers is going to make that much of a difference. And the other starting quarterback option, of course, was Mason Rudolph.
Right.
I don't know. The thing that keeps sticking out to me is I talked with an NFL defensive coordinator who's gone against Mason Rudolph and Aaron Rodgers, and he said the biggest difference is that Mason Rudolph can win you a game or be the guy for quarters 1 through 3. You know that he's a proven commodity. But in the fourth quarter, between Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph, Aaron Rodgers has that clutch gene. You know what you're going to get out of him. He can win a game in the fourth quarter. And maybe Mason Rudolph has that, but he hasn't shown it consistently enough to feel good going into a season with that as your option. So I do think that Aaron Rodgers maybe gets them from 9 wins to 10 or 11 wins, right? Like I do think that they finish over 500 as usual. That's the Mike Tomlin standard. But I don't think that adding Aaron Rodgers makes this a Super Bowl team. Now, he could come out and, being a year removed from the Achilles injury, have better mobility than he had last year. Maybe this offensive line gels faster, and Broderick Jones takes a big jump going from right tackle to left tackle, which is his natural position. There are ways in which maybe this elevates up to an AFC championship berth. Like, to me, that's kind of the ceiling. I don't see this going all the way to the Super Bowl, but I've been wrong before.
Brooke Pryor covers the Steelers for ESPN, joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Did that coach you spoke with, did he talk about what Rodgers looked like last year as a thrower? Because I thought there were times where he looked great, but I also thought that there were times where, that isn't what Aaron Rodgers used to do. So I don't know how far in depth you got it with that conversation, but was there anything about what he looks like consistently now?
I mean, that is definitely a part of it, because looking at the numbers, too, I don't have them right in front of me, but his numbers throwing without pressure were not good. They were worse. The completion percentage, touchdowns, interceptions, all of that was worse than Russell Wilson last year.
Yep.
Again, when not facing pressure. And in talking with different analytics people, different coaches, like, that's the most concerning number. It's one thing if you're throwing picks in the face of pressure, things like that. But when you're not performing well and you're not under pressure, kind of a red flag. He also, I believe, got the ball out one of the fastest in the NFL last year, and was just throwing a lot of short passes. He also seemed to be allergic to the middle of the field, which is a problem because that's where Arthur Smith wants to target. And you've got tight ends like Pat Fryermuth and Darnell Washington, who felt frustrated at times last year when Russell Wilson wouldn't see the middle of the field. So I think that that's going to be another thing to keep an eye on. I mean, Rodgers' skill set and what he wants to do seems to be in direct contrast with the Steelers and Arthur Smith and what he wants to do. I mean, even though Aaron Rodgers doesn't maybe have the consistency with his arm that he had at earlier parts of his career, he still wants to be the guy in control. He wants to throw the ball a lot. I mean, I know that some of that last year was dictated by circumstance, but he still attempted the second most pass attempts in the NFL last year. The Steelers do not want to be a pass-first offense. They want to be balanced, if not a run-first offense. So that's going to take some compromise. And he also, when he was in Green Bay, because, again, you can look at that last year and it's like, well, the Jets were playing from behind, that it was dysfunctional, yada, yada. But in Green Bay from 2008 to 22, the Packers ran the fourth fewest designed run plays when he was a starting quarterback. They just did not want to be a run-heavy team, a run-heavy organization. Again, that flies in the face of what the Steelers do. So I am interested to see how they work this out and who wins this, what could end up being a power struggle.
Brooke Pryor from ESPN is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. There's a leadership element to this as well. in New York where the Jets' best players were all really young and impressionable, whether it was Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson. They were young players, other than the friends of Aaron who came in. And they haven't signed any friends of Aaron yet. Hopefully for the Steelers' sake, it won't happen. But the Steelers have built-in leadership. How do you anticipate that working?
It's going to be interesting because a lot of that built-in leadership is on the defensive side of the ball in the TJ Watt, the Cam Hayward, the Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yeah. A lot of their veteran guys are on defense, and they've kind of had a self-contained defensive leadership. The defense has been fine. Obviously, they fell apart late last season, but I still think that they're able to get themselves on the track, get the train back on the track and keep going. The offense has been searching for a strong leadership core. It was Najee Harris was kind of a part of that last year. Pat Fryermuth is still very much a part of that. But in general, the offense is really young. That's why they brought in Russell Wilson a year ago to be a leader, to kind of unite that room. It worked until it didn't, until guys got kind of tired of the corniness and just the message, I think, got really stale really quick. But I think that depending on how Rodgers comes into this building, he could take that leadership role. And I think that it would be welcome because they still do have a lot of young guys. Caleb Johnson, their third-round running back pick this year. I think what the most veteran wide receiver is now DK Metcalf, who I think is also in line to be a leader on this offense. But it's going to kind of be some feeling each other out, and how much can, the new guys coming in be a part of that leadership core, or how much are they willing to kind of take a back seat to Pat Fryermuth and some of the guys who have been here a while, and it's which way ends up being the best way to unite this team.
How do the Steelers stack up in that division? I mean, you got Baltimore's probably on top of it. Cincinnati was disappointed last year. Disappointing, but we know what they've got, it's at least in terms of offense. Cleveland, frankly, should be better than they have been, and there's a whole bunch of good young players, maybe, I don't know how good they are, I guess, who should be better. How do the Steelers slot in that division right now?
Well, the second that I say third or fourth, they're going to find a way to win the division because that is just the way it always goes.
True.
I do think that they're probably second or third best behind Baltimore because we saw last year Baltimore was so physical and just so dominant, and the way the Steelers defense fell apart at the end. I mean, that was, I think, the impetus for them going heavy on the front seven in the draft, using their first-round pick on Derek Harmon. Again, doubling down with they got another guy out of Iowa. They also added Jack Sawyer, an outside linebacker. I think that Cincinnati, the difference between Cincinnati, or the thing that's going to dictate their season, is if they're able to get something done with Trey Hendrickson, or if he holds out, gets traded, whatever. Their defense, to me, didn't, I don't think, do enough. And we saw last year, Joe Burrow had essentially an MVP-like season, and that wasn't enough.
Yep.
Jamar Chase was a Triple Crown winner, and that wasn't enough. So, to me, if Cincinnati's defense can figure something out, then it becomes a much tighter race at the top. Otherwise, I think the Steelers are in the conversation to finish second, and also knowing how weird things happen in the AFC, they could end up winning it because that's just the way it seems to work.
All right, so opening day of the regular season, the Steelers are playing, look at this, at the Jets. Which starting quarterback, assuming no injuries and it's Aaron Rodgers versus Justin Fields, which starting quarterback will carry onto that field a bigger chip on his right shoulder?
I mean, that's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I think that he's an all-world chip carrier. He is really good. I've watched most of the Enigma documentary. He is really good at finding motivation, at feeling slighted. Now, whether or not that translates into winning a game, that remains to be seen. I think Aaron Rodgers in his younger years certainly could make that happen when he still had all the physical traits that allowed him to do that, the mobility, the gunslinging, all of that. But I don't know if 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers can turn that chip into a win. I think Justin Fields may have better success with that just being younger. But, that game is going to be so fascinating. The NFL absolutely knew what it was doing when it scheduled that week 1. And it's in New York, too. So, what in the world? If I'm Aaron Rodgers, the thought would cross my mind, you know what? I'm not going to sign until week 2. I don't want to do this again. The league is a masochist organization making me go out there and do that. But, I will be sitting there with my popcorn at kickoff. I'm excited.
The league hedged because, yes, they scheduled that game, but they buried it on Sunday. Why isn't that the Monday night kicker to opening weekend?
And I think that's where they were like, well, we don't want to spook him. We're pretty sure he's going to sign. Maybe if we put it Sunday at 1, he won't. It won't click with him that's what's going to happen. But they did put Packers Steelers Sunday Night Football week 8. So they took a gamble, and that one's also going to pay off. I mean, and the Steelers are playing the Vikings in Ireland, which Aaron Rodgers played the Vikings overseas last year and didn't look great.
No.
So, I mean, he could have a revenge tour. He could also just have a Groundhog Day waking nightmare. It's really a toss-up.
I just hope that Mike Tomlin gets through it. That's what I want. I'm Team Tomlin as much as I'm Team Brooke. No, I'm more Team Brooke Pryor than I am Team Mike Tomlin.
I was going to be a little offended if you were more Team Mike Tomlin than Team Brooke Pryor.
I'm always Team Brooke Pryor. But I love Tomlin. I hope he gets through this because it's going to be a test to all of his leadership capabilities as well. Because Aaron Rodgers has a way of showing you that he's Aaron Rodgers. Brooke Pryor, this has been fun. Nap and then prepare and then just buckle it down because it's coming. I appreciate your time always. I will talk to you soon.
Of course, I'm going to go do some ayahuasca and take a nap and see, stories come to me in my dreams.
Let me know how the ayahuasca works out.
I'll do that just for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Brooke Pryor here on the Adam Gold Show. All right, one-timers coming up. Top of the hour. TST is going to be the championship matches are tonight. Top of the hour, Sebastian Salazar from ESPN, who is doing the games for the network. He will join us to talk about TST and also a little men's national team. But one-timers is next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NBA Finals are underway, and FanDuel is the best place to find all your favorite player props. And now you can do everything right within the app with new performance trends, especially if it's after tip-off, because FanDuel is the place for live betting of the NBA Finals. New customers, $200 in bonus bets to you if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Why choose a family physician? Because they provide healthcare expertise for the entire family, care for acute and chronic disease, treat all ages, and most importantly, keep you healthy. In fact, adults with a family physician have lower health care costs, better health outcomes, and are hospitalized less frequently. Family Physicians, your trusted healthcare advisor for you and your family for life. Brought to you by the NC Academy of Family Physicians.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month, we're talking about a major collaboration that's making waves in Iredell County. Kim Holland, Development Coordinator for the Iredell Health Foundation, tells us about Whole 3.
The goal of the collaborative is about addressing the complex and interwoven challenges that many families in Iredell County face. And, things like poverty, lack of access to health care, and educational disparities. So it's designed as truly a collaborative. It's community-led initiative. We're bringing together schools, nonprofits, health systems, and families to build a system that actually works for families, not just around them.
Learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Healthcare? Why?
Why is it so hard?
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Really?
Really. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting all your benefits, prescriptions, and details on your computer and phone. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
This is Adam Gold.
He doesn't have many years to choose from.
No, and part of that was COVID. Nobody's picking COVID.
COVID was a great year.
Yeah.
Look, if you invested in Zoom,
oh, that was a good year. Yes.
You had a good year during COVID.
Yep.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. Sebastian Salazar from ESPN, soccer broadcaster. He'll do the play-by-play tonight for the men's and the women's TST $1 million championship matches over at Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary. If you did go, you know how much fun it was, and it has been. If you didn't go, next year. Do it next year. All right, time for one-timers.
Okay, so I can answer one of these questions, at least the first part. It's a two-parter, but I could definitely answer the first one for you.
Feel free.
This one's from William. You can add us on Twitter or the YouTube stream. William first wants to know, have you watched the new Dale Earnhardt documentary on Amazon? I can tell you, William, no.
Thank you. I've heard it's very good, though.
Yes.
But I have not watched it.
That is what he said, that it's maybe one of the best sport documentaries that he's seen. Then
this one was more, Junior was more heavily involved in this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might have to look at it. But and then the second question is also, when will you be doing the next Canes Corner podcast?
Tonight!
Oh,
at 9:30 tonight. Special guest Eric Cole. We will delve into what happened, why, how to fix it. That's simple.
Go. I like it.
What happened, why, how to fix it.
I like it.
Tonight, 9:30. YouTube. And then search Canes Corner.
There you go. Moving on to WM. If you could only make one change to the lineup this offseason, what specific position would you upgrade? I'm assuming this is about the Canes.
Yes, I am. I'm also assuming like 98% of our questions about the Hurricanes, and that's good. Center. Must get an upgraded. Look, I'm not going to number centers, okay? Aho, Stahl, there's got to be another good center. No offense to Jesperi Kotkaniemi. It hasn't worked out. He hasn't made a positive impact in the lineup, and don't even try to blame factors that aren't Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He's been given way too many opportunities. He just isn't good enough, consistently enough to do it. So they need a quality center to put in with Aho and Stahl.
Yeah.
That's it. If I was only going to be allowed to change one thing, it would be that.
Well, there you go. And we've got a question about football with the feet. So here we go from Micah. Adam, what are your thoughts on U.S. men's national team drama? Majority of the starters held out of the Gold Cup this summer ahead of World Cup next summer. No more competitive games.
The friendlies are competitive. The players treat them as competitive games. There's no stakes, but they're still competitive games. And the Turkey game was useful. I'll ask Sebastian Salazar about that next hour. My quick take on it is that I don't know why we're making a big deal out of matches that involve so few of our clear first-choice players. We don't have Anthony Robinson. We don't have Sergiño Dest. We don't have Christian Pulisic. We don't have Tim Weah. And I'm not saying some of these guys are automatically going to be in the World Cup squad or in the starting 11, but they're going to be factors. We have so many players who are not going to be there. To me, I want to see, I'm not in love with the first team anyway, but I want to see some emerging players out of this group. Even if you don't win, I want to see some players who will be a factor next summer. I'm not concerned about the result as much as I am how it looks.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary, and we are going to save you money, and we are going to help you win the war of the cul-de-sac. You know the guy across the cul-de-sac from you that thinks his lawn is better than yours? When it's clearly not, because he's got crabgrass and he's got stuff growing up through the driveway. You, on the other hand, beautifully manicured. Never mind, we're talking about mortgages. You didn't pay closing cost. He did. He's bragging about his rate. And meanwhile, you just refinanced with Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage, and you are paying the same rate, maybe even a little lower than he did. And you saved thousands of dollars, not once, but twice. Miller Lending, home of the original no closing cost mortgage, because you should never pay closing costs like the doofus across the cul-de-sac. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary since 1996. They are an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 250-2146.
Champions are crowned in June. The NBA Finals.
Here's Halliburton driving, lifting, shot up, good! With 0.3 of a second to go!
The Stanley Cup Finals.
Marchand, partial break, can't get the shot away. Now he scored! Looked like Skinner had covered it, and he pokes it through the Edmonton netminder for an overtime game winner.
The U.S. Open and the College World Series. Your home for championship action all month long. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes Dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned, Cajun-fried, whole breast tenderloin fillets. Choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles' legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch-off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare heads. Triple threats of cold, hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.84 to 4.79. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. Now I'm finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Experience legendary craftsmanship with an Omega timepiece. From the iconic Speedmaster that accompanied astronauts to the moon, to the Seamaster, loved by the world's most famous spy, Omega watches capture the spirit of adventure and precision. At Bailey's Fine Jewelry, find a timepiece that matches your story. Discover your Omega at Bailey's today. Voted Best Jeweler. Learn more at baileybox.com.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Getting hurt in a car wreck comes with all kinds of stress and frustration. But when you call me, I'll be on top of all of it. So all you need to worry about is getting better. If you've been injured in a car wreck, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Draisaitl picks it up and circles the net back on the point. And Ekblad leans into a one-timer that got the glass. Ahead is Marchand, takes the pass from Lundell, partial break, can't get the shot away. Now he scored! Oh, I didn't think he could get the shot away. It looked like Skinner had covered it, and he pokes it through the Edmonton netminder for an overtime game winner.
Tonight, starting at 7 and then at 8:30, the championship matches for $1 million at the Club World Cup. What do I know? At TST. Maybe it's the same thing. TST over at WakeMed Soccer Park in Cary. Sebastian Salazar from ESPN will be on the call with your friend Hercules Gomez. The big boys coming in. I love it. How are you?
Oh, great. And so excited to be back in Cary. I love this event. I love this part of the country. I got some old college buddies here and some friends from kind of way back. So I really love coming to this neck of the woods this time of year. It's a blast.
All right. I'm going to get deeper into the matches tonight in a second, but real quick, when this event came here 2 years ago, we helped do some promotion, and I spent a lot of time out there. The weather was much better 2 years ago. It was cooler until it became hot at the end, at the beginning, but you could tell this event had legs. It is such a festival of the sport. It is so much fun. There's so much energy. I know you enjoyed it. I was watching last night, listened to the commentary last night as Concafa SC fell just short, which, hey, tough, them's the breaks. Pumas was very, very good last night. Have you gotten that about the event too, though?
Yeah, I think, for me, I'll be totally honest. When the event was first kind of presented to me, I was a little bit of a skeptic about it because there's so many kind of new tournaments, new formats coming out right now that feel like, people are trying to reinvent the wheel. And when I came down here the first year for the final, because I just came in for the last game, I realized that this might be that to some extent, but that was really well run. And it was a really good idea. And that, like you said, there were some legs to it. But for me, when I really noticed it take off was year two, because that's when they started to get some of the big names, the former players. Nani came last year. Kun Agüero came for the first time. I know, we'll probably talk about him and the role he played with Concafa SC, but Pat McAfee bringing his show here on top of bringing his team here, I think, gave this tournament some eyeballs that it probably never would have got otherwise. And then you can see just from the amount of teams that have entered on both sides of the tournament, they go from 24 to 48. They go from 8 to 16 on the women's side. So there's a lot more interest. There's a lot more big name interest. And from a media perspective, now it's at a time of year that's kind of dead. You know this, and you got a sports radio show. This is not the time of year where there's a million things to talk about. It fits kind of nicely into the calendar in a way that it's like, oh, hey, this is a cool event with people doing stuff that, I'm not seeing them do anymore because maybe they're past it at the professional level. But I think the sky is the limit for this tournament, really, considering we're just in year 3.
I love it. By the way, next year when the Hurricanes are in the Stanley Cup Finals, my ability to go to some of these matches might be limited, but right now. They weren't in the Stanley Cup Finals. And by the way, I got an opportunity to see Sergio Aguero put up a brace as they advanced in the, I guess they went from the round of 16 to the Elite Eight, or the Great Eight, whatever we call it. So I got to see Sergio Aguero score twice in their match. Nani made it to the finals last year. These teams take it seriously, Sebastian.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, just Nani himself. I mean, he's on the verge of a red card every game. Now, to be fair, I've never seen Nani play pickup, right? Maybe that's just how he is. You know, in the professional game, he didn't really do that because you can't. You'll get tossed. But my goodness, every game with him, there's a scuffle. There were last year. Yeah. You remember the Sasha question, him going back and forth with question last year. He was getting into it in the game we were calling yesterday. So yeah, it's in the quarterfinal that I was watching, preparing for the semifinal, he was getting into it with the Canales boys. So just him alone, I think, is like the best example of a guy who, this guy's played in the biggest games in the world and the biggest tournaments in the world, and he's out here with really nothing to prove, and he's taking it as seriously as you could imagine anyone taking anything.
All right, so real quick, so I was going to do this at the end, but we're already here, no sense jumping around. Sebastian Salazar will have the final tonight on ESPNU, I believe. Bumpy pitch men and women are playing in the women's final against the U.S. women, led by, among others, Carly Lloyd, Allie Krieger, Heather O'Reilly, our friend who lives and works locally. Also, Bumpy Pitch men will be going up against Pumas. Pumas has, I think, the darling of the tournament in terms of their is it fair to say the round striker? Can I call him that? Who's got 6 goals in this tournament, including 2 in the win over Canales?
Yeah, Jose Antonio Medina Alvarado. What a player. And one of those guys that, the body shape is not what you might expect from somebody that's so good. But you got to remember, some of these guys are still relatively young. Maybe they've been out of kind of being full-time professionals for a few years. And, that affects all of us, differently, I'm sure. But you can tell it wasn't that long ago that this guy was playing at a pretty decent level. Herc was kind of going through his resume yesterday, had a cup of coffee with Pumas, and then bounced around, I think, to Atlanta and maybe another team in the second division in Mexico. So, and you see a lot of guys like that end up playing in these tournaments. Yeah. But this guy has a knack for goal in that way of, you're watching the game. I'm calling the game. I'm supposed to be anticipating a goal. He's got his back to goal. I'm not really ready for a goal call. And somehow he kind of wriggles an angle out of it and tucks it in the corner, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm above the game. I didn't see that. How did he figure that out in the game? And you saw it yesterday, and you notice his body size, but he moves well for a big fella. And it's not necessarily speed, but it's deceleration. It's the turns. It's the chops. And he's a handful. But I got to say this about this Pumas, the Alabama team. I have trouble switching there from Pumas to not saying Alabama, but just saying Alabama. They are impressive. They're the real deal. There's some guys here who clearly have played together a lot in the past. Mm-hmm. They've got a goalie who yesterday stood on his head. Hugo Gomez is just incredible. He's played some MASL, I think, with one of the teams out in California. But he was just so good. Had a game-winning assist. And they've got a good mix of indoor players, kind of guys just out of college, and then actually some I think somewhat interesting names. If you American soccer, you kind of follow Liga MX, you know them, but they're good. And talking to the Canales SC coaches after the game, they were like, "Oh, that's the team to beat tomorrow in the final. They're good." They had a lot of respect for the Pumas team and just how kind of clinical and good they were at the strategy of this specific version of kind of 7v7.
Yeah, Sebastian Salazar will have the call for ESPN tonight. Tony Miola, who was, I guess, the head coach for Canales SC, he knows MLS and Liga MX as well as anybody. Let me ask you a quick question about the men's national team. I know there are a lot of people who are distraught over a 1-2 loss in a friendly to Turkey. Should they be upset about that?
I think the bigger concern is the general state of the national team. I think in a bubble you could say, look, the United States needs better competition. They got to play all these local, regional CONCACAF teams all the time that maybe isn't a challenge or enough of a new challenge to really grow. So it's good to have that experience, and if you lose, that's fine. I think what we should be focused on is the fact that the conversations from the coach around this team, the $6 million a year coach, by the way, are about wanting it more and trying harder and wanting to represent your national team, which I think, I don't really buy it. I think, tactics and functionality matters much more. I think guys want to represent their national team. Mm-hmm. But then the reality that there are some big, big names that aren't here. And so I think it's really hard for me to sit here and say, boy, this team is in trouble next year based on what they did against Turkey without, let's be honest, 6, 7, maybe 8 starters, including the guy, Christian Pulisic. So absent that, if they have those guys, maybe it's a different result against Turkey. Maybe I have a different feeling about this team 12 months out. But having just seen what happened in the CONCACAF Nations League and having seen that and having seen the rhetoric around this team, both coming from the players and coming from the coach, that just, I don't know, they're not talking about real tangible ways to fix this. They're just talking about attitude. And that worries me. I don't know that you can flip an attitude switch. And so when this World Cup comes around, they'll be fine. They should get through the group. They'll be set up for success in that way. But they're going to be measured, and they should be measured on what they do in the knockout rounds. And if they don't make a deep run, and I think deep is quarterfinals and beyond, it'll be a big disappointment. Not a huge failure, not a catastrophe, not a, burn everything down, but a big missed opportunity. This is a home World Cup. You've hired a really expensive coach, and a year out, we don't really have a good feeling about this team. And there's nothing you can point to really in the last year, since the firing of the last coach at Copa America, which was a disaster at home, that says, you know what? We should be optimistic about 2026, and that's the greater concern than a 2-1 loss to Turkey with 8 starters.
Sebastian Salazar is joining us here. I'm not put off by the loss to Turkey. I wasn't even put off by no success in the previous set of friendlies, and I'm not that concerned. I think they should at least advance to the semifinals in Gold Cup, even without Anthony Robinson, one of the best left backs in the world, even without Sergiño Dest, who whether he's one of the best right backs in the world, I don't think they have a suitable replacement for Sergiño Dest, anybody who can get forward. No Pulisic, no Gio Reyna, who, we could debate all day long whether or not Reyna's good enough, consistently good enough to be impactful all the time, but they should be able to at least get to the semifinals of Gold Cup even without those personnel problems, no?
Yeah, for sure. If we're honest about kind of the strength of the region, there's not that many teams that should be better than a U.S. team missing significant pieces. However, I think once you get to the semifinals, you're probably, if you've taken care of business in the group, which the United States should, your quarterfinal matchups should be relatively easy. That's relatively manageable, let's say it that way. And then you get to the semis, and it could be a Mexico. Well, if they have their best team and you don't, they're probably the favorite. Canada with their best team, which they might not have, but with a good team against the U.S. without all these players, maybe Canada's a favorite. Maybe even Panama.
Yeah.
If they're playing well, if they have all their stuff, because the last few times they've handled the United States, they've done so without some of their big pieces too. So there's probably 2, maybe 3 teams where you're at least a coin flip, if not an underdog against in that semifinal, considering the missing pieces. But that said, if they go out in a semi and they don't even make the final, in a home Gold Cup, I think from a media standpoint, from a narrative standpoint, that won't be a good look. That won't be a win for Mauricio Pochettino.
No.
I think if he'd had some success here in the run-up, if he'd won Nations League, if he'd have beaten Turkey and Switzerland, and the team was looking good, and they get to the finals without a bunch of their studs and lose to Mexico, I think that might fly. But given how bad it's been off the jump, given what they're paying him, given the expectations, given the home World Cup, if you get bounced in the semis and you're playing a meaningless third-place game at the Gold Cup, that's not going to be a fun conversation on Football Americas and the other shows like it, 12 months out from a home World Cup.
You should follow Sebastian Salazar on Twitter at Sebi Salazar, FUT. from ESPN. He'll have the call tonight. Bumpy pitch women versus U.S. women. Bumpy pitch men. We should call them men if we're calling them women. Against Pumas de Alabama. I appreciate your time, sir. I hope to do it again soon.
Absolutely, man. Love talking to you. Love being down at this tournament. Hopefully we'll do it again next year.
I think it's we should do it all of. We should have 4 of these. Absolute blast over at Wake Med Soccer Park. But I do think you hear, I think, a legitimate concern about the men's national team in that Mauricio Pochettino has been about, like, where is our attitude? That has been a very big deal over the first year of Pochettino. I don't think it's been a full year yet. Pretty close. Based on it's less than a full year because based on the Copa America absolute implosion, really in the second game, which took them out of it. The men's program needs to catch up in a lot of ways, but also they talked about this as a golden generation of American player, and I think it's disrespectful to the players maybe of a decade and a half, 2 decades ago who did more, who accomplished more, and I think they overrate the players of today. I think we have good players. But, man, we don't have too many difference makers. And almost everybody you come up against has difference makers. I don't think the Americans have a lot of those. Our biggest difference maker is Christian Pulisic, Anthony Robinson, to an extent Tyler Adams in a different way. But we're not the same. All right, we'll get to some NBA stuff. Also, we'll see what Bomani Jones from The Right Time wants to talk about. But we're going to talk about some NBA Finals. We'll talk about where the Knicks go from here after firing their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. And Bomani Jones joins us next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but it doesn't mean me and my co-host, WREL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as training camp approaches, insights on the rookies, the free agents, and the surprises, plus all the insider info on the upcoming season. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Adam Gold here from my friends at X Golf and Cary with a great idea for Father's Day. Send him, maybe with a few guys from the cul-de-sac, over to X Golf and enjoy a couple of hours in the best golf simulator in North Carolina. And because you know me, I'm going to double your hour. Buy 1 hour, I'll hook you up for a second hour. Just mention Gold and enjoy. The bar menu's fantastic, the bar too, and Dad can watch the golf tournament on their big screens while he's playing places like the Old Course. Father's Day done right at X Golf and Cary, North Carolina's home for indoor golf.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
Tim Donnelly here, and for this Men's Health Month, we are talking with Dr. Jonathan Chappell, orthopedic sports medicine surgeon from Wake Orthopedics. Doctor, we've now learned that tendon injuries, fractures, are a little more common in men. How can they work to prevent those injuries and protect their bones and joints?
Well, we can never completely eliminate these injuries. Certainly they're going to happen in the sports that we play and we enjoy, and it's important to have those sports in our life for mental and physical health. But preventing these injuries comes down, in most cases for men, with the lack of flexibility. So focusing on a stretching program, working on core strengthening, some simple physical therapy exercises, and then things like maintaining a good healthy body weight are really important. So that steady dad bod creep we see in our 30s and 40s, trying to avoid that and maintain your flexibility are probably the biggest issues, I would say.
For more information on men's health this Men's Health Month and around the calendar, please visit wakemed.org. Once again, that is wakemed.org.
Down on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This is Adam Gold.
You know, soap attracts dirt, right? That's what soap does. It attracts dirt. Right now, Bill Belichick is soap. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's soap.
Yeah.
He's attracting all this dirt.
Or he's like an overripe banana and it's attracting all these gnats.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Always 1,000 things going on, especially when you've been gone for a week. So playing catch-up is even more fun when we can chat with Bomani Jones, the Right Time podcast. It is a staple. It should be if you love all sports, but I know Bo's been deep into the NBA playoffs. We got stuff to do with that. I have heard you, sir, talk about Bill Belichick, and I want to start there real quick because I find myself completely unfascinated by this story, but apparently so many people are, to the point where I just read well, I haven't even finished it yet, a story in The Athletic tracking down like going through Jordan Hudson's roots in New England. Are you interested in this story at all?
I am interested in it, but not in a way where we're taking it seriously.
Thank
Does that
you.
make sense?
Thank you.
Like I do find it pretty interesting and really funny that this guy has just proven to be like every other guy, right? This woman done. She when they had that picture up of him on his back with his feet in the air with her on him. You're not gonna tell me that's not great, right?
Yep.
Like I'm here for it in that regard. I think I told people I went to a Super Bowl party where he pulled up with her, and you could tell, man, he feel like she the bee's knees. But to the level of depth that I've seen a lot of people get into this, no, I don't need to know the inner workings of it, I guess is the point. What I can see with my own eyes is good enough for me. It does not make me curious about that much more.
Bomani Jones is joining us here. Part of me just wishes he would have bought a Ferrari like everybody else in that stage of life rather than go through all of this. By the way, the fisherman picture with her as a mermaid is very, very close to as good as whatever that Titanic photo they tried to do.
Well, what I do think is funny is that she is of the generation that does not know a life before Instagram.
Right.
Right. Like she can't conceive of anything that happened prior to that. And she is very, very online. He clearly is not really online, which allows her to bring him to her very online world. Like if we're just talking about this is the kind of stuff that historically we would talk about, call it at the ACC kickoff or the ACC tournament or something like that, right? Like this would be our topic of conversation at at dinner. How dinner moved into this other space is just a little bit beyond me when we haven't even gotten to the real question is, how many wins do you see on that schedule for that man and that team? Because I don't see a lot.
And that's where I go when I hear this, because all of the Bomani Jones is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. All the people have made the assumption that because Bill is now, whether it's directly, indirectly, tangentially caught up in this world, that it will translate to football. I can't make that leap yet because I want to see it on the football field. I know you're skeptical about his overall impact, having listened to you talk about this enough. I am more, you guys are probably right who don't think it's going to work, but I'm going to let the best coach in my lifetime, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt to think that he might be able to coax more wins out of it. It's going to come down to talent. But for me, that's the only thing that matters is how this impacts the football, and I don't know that it will or won't. I really can't. Do you have an idea of how that might work out?
No, I don't think that any of the stuff that we're talking about matters for the football.
Right.
Right. Like, I don't think any of the stuff with Jordan Hudson has a single thing to do with football. The question is whether the reasons why his football teams were really bad for the last 2 years, does that translate over to the football teams that he have now? Does his incredibly cerebral approach to football, can you ask a college professor to teach at a high school? And that's what's happening here. Yeah. Like, there are so many truly fascinating levels to this. And if you want to get into all the leaks and everything that are around this, that this is what happens when a football program hires a coach without getting everybody on board. You wind up with like the way that all the news and leaks and everything are traveling. That's what happens when not everybody's on the same team.
Yeah, it's funny.
Those are the interesting things.
I talked to Bubba Cunningham about this after the fact. And I asked him, was Bill Belichick on your initial list? You know, he said he made a list of like 70 names on a legal pad of people that they were interested. And I asked him, was Bill on that list? And he said yes. And I love Bubba Cunningham. I respect the hell out of him. Not for a second do I believe that it was his idea to write the name Bill Belichick on that list.
I just want to say, imagine being as accomplished and, from what I can tell, generally good at his job as Bubba Cunningham is, and you've had that program, and this is the second straight major, well, maybe not the second one, but he didn't get to hire the basketball coach when Roy left, and he didn't get to hire this football coach.
Yep. I mean, first of all, that's sort of the way this thing works now, right? Like, the bigger the program that you have, it almost seems like you have less control over who you hire.
Well, I think it is hilarious that he ever thought he was going to get to hire the basketball coach. That was poppycock. Roy was always going to hire that basketball coach.
I mean, it happened to Duke too.
Oh, yeah. Like, come on, guys. You thought you were never more powerful than that guy, and you thought you were going to get to hire the coach. Okay. But the football coach, that seemed like the whole reason you hired him. But I also get the argument that if somebody feels like they got a line to Bill Belichick, then we're going to go get Bill Belichick. And there's nobody that you could have proposed, that you could have sold if people knew that Belichick was an option. But once one person gets to commandeer the process, and I'm not sure it's just one, but like once a small group of people commandeer the process, no matter what the circumstances are, then the rest of them are going to be salty and haters. And they seem to be doing a lot of the leaking.
So do you think UNC football and Bill Belichick are a match at all?
It can be. The thing about Belichick that I think that people misunderstand is he's more of a human being than I think he gets credit for being. Yeah. Like, if you watch that Patriots 8-part or whatever, however long that documentary was, it is very clear that he didn't start acting like he had no manners until after Spygate, right? Like, he is a person who does understand how things work. And so for his own sake, I hope he understands that when he got to that press conference and said that, my first word, they said little Billy's first words were beat Duke. And I'm like, buddy, they needed to be beat State.
Right.
Like, do you understand what this job is? And if he understands what the job is, he has a chance. But what the job is a plus or minus 7.5 win program. And it looks no better than 8 wins to me.
Yeah. And that will not be a success here. In year one, I think a pass will be given, and I believe that there will be multiple years. I never for a second thought June 1 was a legitimate deadline for anything. I don't see Bill going back to the NFL. I think those bridges have either been burned or there's a barrier up with the drawbridges. I don't know. I don't see him going back to the NFL. But I think he's going to be here for multiple years. In year one, 8 wins would be awesome because I don't think their roster is any better, might even not be as good as it was a year ago. But after that, success is knocking on a playoff door or making the playoffs. I don't think it's anything below that is a failure.
The question that I have, and I think it's going to determine the length of this tenure, is when, not if, when the day comes and people say, you brought a lot of dead weight with you and you got to fire some of these people. And yes, I'm talking about Lombardi. Is he going to be willing to part with his people? Because he brought all these guys that none of the NFL teams wanted him to bring with him. He brought them all.
Yeah, including a bunch of people named Belichick. And who knows, maybe Jordan Hudson will one day be named Belichick. I don't know, and I don't care. But I did, when that report came out, I was curious. Where were they registered? I'd love to send something, a place setting, whatever. Bomani Jones is joining us here. I want to talk about one more bad match before we get to the NBA Finals. Is there a worse personality match than Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin?
I would just make the argument that Mike Tomlin has made it work with a disparate cast of characters.
That is true.
Including his first quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, down to the wide receivers that he has dealt with. Like, he believes that he can get it out of anybody. And so I think it's less about whether Aaron Rodgers is a bad fit with Mike Tomlin than is Aaron Rodgers the right fit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, because what they are goes beyond Mike Tomlin. I mean, again, they've hired 3 coaches since 1969.
Yeah.
That is insane. Keeping in mind, by the way, they were terrible before that. Little known NFL fact. They didn't get good until that era. Like when people talk about the standard in Pittsburgh is Super Bowls, that was the standard for 6 years. Right. But we're going to see. Like, I think the thing about Aaron last year was the Jets weren't good. He wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. And you could put together a decent highlight package of him. Now, what kind of offense is Arthur Smith going to run with him? Because we know Arthur likes to run the ball, and then make the throws. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be cool with that? Can he handle that? We're going to see. But I hope he understands this, that when it doesn't go well with the Jets, we are going to be inclined to blame the Jets. That's not going to be the case here. It's going to come all down on you.
Yeah, as somebody who is no longer a Jets fan, by the way, as a quick aside, I have in many ways taken your lead by not being a Falcons fan, right?
Yes.
Why do they deserve your fandom? And for decades as a Jets fan, I decided I was fed up. And I basically leaned on, you know what? That's what Bo said. And I think he's right. So congratulations for convincing this now recovering Jets fan. But I still understand the team. You're welcome. I still understand the team, and I understand what they're about. And you could certainly say the Jets were poorly coached during the 2 years that Rodgers was there. Obviously, only one active. But I thought they had a better team in year one. I thought they actually might have been good with Rodgers in year one, but I never thought they would be good last year because they didn't have a good enough team. Now, I don't know how good Pittsburgh is. They might have been holding it together with chewing gum and baling wire.
They had 2 quarterbacks last year that you could talk yourself into, but ultimately weren't that good, and
Right.
Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And that same profile seems to fit the modern version of Aaron Rodgers. That's where this gets interesting is the numbers don't look bad. They don't. But Aaron Rodgers playing the type of football that he plays, throwing 11 interceptions, is a lot of interceptions.
Yeah.
A lot. So I am fascinated to see what they do, but I also think for Pittsburgh, this is the best option they had.
Yeah, they've in many ways they treated themselves like Washington did when they were kicking the can down the road with Kirk Cousins. They never planned for what was next. So when Kirk Cousins was ultimately out the door, they had nobody to turn to, which is why they went through the wilderness until Jaden Daniels. The Steelers never had another option.
But something really interesting about them, and I've never seen this talked about very much, and maybe I've just been in the wrong places and everybody brings it up, But before they made that trade to get Minka Fitzpatrick and they gave up a first-round pick, they had one first-round pick basically every year for almost 50 years. So if you're not going to bottom out and you don't trade your first-round picks, then how do you get a quarterback?
I mean, you got to get lucky or you have to be incredibly smart. I mean, look, teams have gotten lucky. The Patriots got lucky with Tom Brady in the 6th round. Look, to me, the 49ers got super lucky with the last player taken in the draft in Brock Purdy. So the Steelers either didn't scout it properly or they tried. They drafted Kenny Pickett, which was, of course, a mistake. Who's now the backup to Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel in Cleveland. That's tough.
Yes. Let me tell you, a great axiom for the NFL. You can look this up. There's a couple of exceptions, but not really. If the quarterback is there in the 20s, wait till the 30s.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting a good quarterback in the 20s. Nobody.
Very good point. All right, I can't believe we're this far into this conversation. We haven't talked about the NBA Finals yet. Bomani Jones, the Right Time Podcast, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I've heard a lot of people complain about this not having the sizzle of, because there are no super teams. We have Indiana, Oklahoma City. Who cares? Or do we have great players? We have seen Tyrese Halliburton single-handedly level 2 teams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not only the MVP, but he is a legit star. By the way, Basketball Canada should be pretty happy. We don't have super teams here, but we have super players.
Yeah, I think if you say something long enough, people will believe it. And I think that we have talked so much about market size enough that where people were actually talking about that before they actually talked about what the series was. A team that won something like 68 games or however many games it was that Oklahoma City had managed to win with the MVP, who put up an all-time great season by most advanced statistical metrics. And we're talking about all that other peripheral stuff. That, to me, is just a little bit crazy. And why do you care? Either you want to watch it or you don't. And if you're not a big basketball fan, that's fine, right? The brand name part isn't there. But when basketball fans start talking about it, it's crazy. And if you're talking to a non-basketball fan about it, why do you care, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander seems to be emerging as the best player in the NBA. You're not going to tell me the problem is that he plays in Oklahoma City because Kevin Durant played in Oklahoma City. Russell Westbrook played in Oklahoma City. And after Kevin Durant left, they remained the television draw of Russell Westbrook and the various co-stars that he wound up bringing with him. This has a chance to be very good basketball for us to watch. But what it is, and to be fair to everybody else, is that it is a change of the paradigm in terms of what it takes for you to win a championship. Like, it is entirely possible that Oklahoma City is going to win a championship with their second best player being Jalen Williams.
Right.
You couldn't win a championship like that before. Like this is becoming different of the level of star power of what is required for you to have to win a championship because teams can't stack stars anymore because of the way they've changed the CBA. Like this is, I believe, a transitionary period for the league, but it could also be the beginning of Oklahoma City being really good and doing this for a really long time because they're the only team that's really good, really young, with a lot of draft picks to trade.
Did super teams really work, though? I mean, Miami was a super team. That team was put together around Dwayne Wade and then added pieces with Bosh and LeBron coming and then added the pieces that helped them win. Boston won only one title, right, with that group, and maybe that isn't necessarily the best example because they probably did underachieve a little bit because they assembled that team from outside of Boston, even though Paul Pierce was there. Every other super team, basically, maybe you add a piece, but the core was in place when they won a bunch.
I feel like when we start talking about super teams that people need to be specific, and I think you identified it properly when you start talking about Boston and you talk about a team like Miami where, I mean, the Rolling Stones are not a super group. They're just the Rolling Stones, the Traveling Wilburys. they're a super group because you put all these guys together from different places, right? If you go back and look at who has won the last however many championships, let's start it with 2019. Toronto won it. Yes, they went and got Kawhi Leonard. That was an amazing one-off sort of situation, but your second best player on that team is Pascal Siakam. I don't think we'll call that a super team. The Lakers went and got Anthony Davis, but again, I don't think that counts as a super team. They traded the farm, they got him, but then go look at the rest of the roster. The second best player for Milwaukee that year was probably Chris Middleton. The Warriors team after that was a hobbled Klay Thompson and older Draymond Green. None of us would call that a super team. 2023 was the Nuggets, and Nikola Jokic has never played with an all-star. Last year was the Celtics, and you could say they added Porzingis, in Derek White, but they built that team fairly organically. I guess and keep it in mind, the Warriors pre-Kevin Durant were an organically built team where the only high lottery pick was Andrew Bogut, and that didn't count because this was 10 years after he came into the league. I say all that to say that the idea that there was ever truly a super team era, not quite. It's kind of like tanking. Show me the example of the tanking working. You can't. It's not there, right? Like you go look at who the teams are that get this done. It doesn't go that way. So the super team was always an approach, but the difference now is nobody can afford a second really good player.
That's right.
Like we're not even talking about the super team. We're just talking about going and getting another dude, and nobody can afford to.
By the way, you know where tanking did work? In baseball. The Houston Astros tanked, and it worked. They created a great team over about, half a decade. They either won or played for World Series for a long time. And tanking worked there in the most illogical of sports where tanking might work because the draft in baseball is a total roll of the dice. That's all that is.
It's a total roll of the dice, and also it's one thing in the NBA where you get the best pick for 2 rounds. It's another thing in baseball where you get the best pick for 178 rounds, or how many rounds they got, right? Like, in theory, the advantage that you receive should be a little bit better because this keeps going over and over and over. So, yeah, it's going to go there. But now the NBA did a great job on this tanking thing. The lottery odds aren't good enough to justify the activity, but there's clearly a lag in people recognizing that the impact of this attempt has changed, and people keep doing it. And there's no point in it anymore. You might as well go try to – how about this? Even if you don't try to be good, like I think what Oklahoma City did in building this team, you could argue it was tanking, and they certainly were not prioritizing winning at all costs. But what they were really doing was developing the young talent that they had. If you go look at that team, the only high lottery pick is Chet Holmgren.
Yeah,
they're not loaded up with all the guys that they tank to get. You see what I mean?
I do.
That was never the strategy.
I do. It's tanking, honoring the process. Man, Philly hadn't won anything, and they tried to honor the process. That is a team that actively attempted to rig the system and couldn't do it. Bomani Jones, by the way, is the Dallas Mavericks coaching job better than the Knicks coaching job?
I have watched a lot of discussion about that on television, and I see the argument. I don't know if it is necessarily better, but I do, in fact, see the argument. Because let me tell you, it's going to be some heat on the seat of whoever gets that job. The Knicks messed around and got just good enough for people to expect more.
Yeah.
And your 2 best players can't play with each other.
I was never –
They clearly must think that if they get Jason Kidd, that they'll get Giannis. That's the only explanation behind what they're doing.
If they can get Giannis and send Karl Anthony Towns somewhere, I almost might become a Knick fan again. Shouts to our friend Shannon Penn, who I know is living through it right now. Bomani,
yes, he is.
Bomani Jones, at Bomani_Jones, the Right Time Podcast. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. I'll talk again soon.
By the way, if you want to feel old, speaking of Shannon, guess where I'm going tomorrow afternoon?
Oh, there's a graduation, I know.
There's a graduation.
Man.
So I guess you got one coming in a year, so all you people are making me feel old.
I got 2 years. Jack started a little late, but I got 2 years, but it's still, thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Be good.
You got it. Bomani Jones here on the Adam Gold Show. Yeah, how about that? So, I got nothing for that. Thanks to Bomani. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We will stretch. We will place bets. It's been a minute. I don't even remember my last successful wager.
Yeah, I don't know, but that was a week ago. Feels like a lifetime ago.
I saw you tweeting through a UFC card.
Big UFC card.
Was it successful?
Yeah, I mean, I made some good picks. Some of our mutual friends were asking for my picks, and I said, be careful, I'm the queen of all but one. And it struck them.
That's too bad. That is too bad. All right, well, we'll do all that next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, you're more than a policy, you're family. With offices in every county, we're close by when it matters most. Our local agents customize coverage to fit your life. And our award-winning claims team delivers fast, quality repairs. It's no surprise Forbes ranked us the #1 auto insurer in America. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Why choose a family physician? Because they provide healthcare expertise for the entire family, care for acute and chronic disease, treat all ages, and most importantly, keep you healthy. In fact, adults with a family physician have lower healthcare costs, better health outcomes, and are hospitalized less frequently. Family physicians, your trusted healthcare advisor for you and your family for life. Brought to you by the NC Academy of Family Physicians.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month, we're talking about a major collaboration that's making waves in Iredell County. Kim Holland, Development Coordinator for the Iredell Health Foundation, tells us about Whole 3.
The goal of the collaborative is about addressing the complex and interwoven challenges that many families in Iredell County face. And, things like poverty, lack of access to health care, and educational disparities. So it's designed as truly a collaborative. It's community-led initiative. We're bringing together schools, nonprofits, health systems, and families to build a system that actually works for families, not just around them.
Learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Healthcare? Why?
Why is it so hard?
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Really?
Really. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting all your benefits, prescriptions, and details on your computer and phone. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Here at NC Cyber Academy, screens are a good thing. At our K-12 tuition-free virtual charter school, your child can find a flexible and personalized education that lets them take a brain break when they need it, but also provides structured one-on-one time with our amazing teachers. But we also power down our laptops for in-person activities with fellow students to build community. Visit myncca.com to learn how we can set your child up for success in the classroom, at college, and in their careers.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth, why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's why.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria's on the ones and twos. Hope you're going out to TST for the championship matches, the women's and men's $1 million title tilts. 7 o'clock for the ladies, 8:30 for the gentlemen. It should be a lot of fun. I mean, they're also available on TV if you're not going out, but man, it was so cool to be out there again. 3rd year in a row. Man, I hope they never think about going anywhere else. I know they love the facility. They love the fields. The grass is amazing. No reason to leave, I hope. All right, we got a lot of things to do. First, it's time to stretch, and then we'll place bets.
Okay, so I know Mondays can be a little hectic for some, and maybe it might cause a migraine, but I have a solution for people's migraines.
If it'll prevent the migraine, that's good.
Well, and some people might just be down for
Have
this.
you ever had a migraine?
Oh, yeah.
I have never had one.
No?
No. I've had a bad headache before, but I have not had a migraine.
Oh, no. Yeah, migraines are no fun. Michael gets those all the time. But there is a migraine meal, apparently.
What? Excuse me?
I know, and it comes from McDonald's.
What?
Apparently, there is a neurologist who said that they have found a secret that might help you if you do have a migraine.
That would be the ultimate happy meal.
I know. You might get a Beanie Baby and all. So what they're saying is a large Coke, which they have the best Coke at McDonald's. And I don't really drink a soda a lot, but I'll get a Coke when I go there. And a large fry. So hopefully they're warm and salty, because they're saying, which a lot of medicines that help with migraines have caffeine in it. So a large Coke from McDonald's has 80 milligrams of caffeine. That'll check that box, which help relieve some problems up there.
Yeah.
And then the saltiness from the French fries. I had no idea, but the salt helps balance your electrolytes, and the carbs help your blood sugar levels. So there you go. McDonald's might actually be healthy for you. No, it's not. Don't go to your doctor and say, Victoria said McDonald's was healthy. They say this neurologist said that we know migraines are associated with worse cardiovascular health, and having a fatty meal and a big caffeinated soda is not really good in general. But if it can be like a quick relief, why not? Treat yourself. So I don't know. If you find yourself in a predicament, then, that might help you. Also, if we needed more reason to love Dolly Parton, then I keep finding reasons to love her. She's one of us, because she was on the Today Show, I think last week, and she said that there is something that she eats every single day, and it's nothing crazy fancy. Do you want to guess what she eats every single day?
Dolly Parton every day eats bacon.
Ooh, I would love that. But no, she actually eats potatoes every single day. Every single day, she said. She doesn't need anything glamorous. It's just good, hearty food. And I can't do a Dolly Parton impression, but that's what she says. She says, I have potatoes, whether it be French fries, baked potatoes, mashed potatoes. She's like, every single day, she's down for the carbs.
Does she have a favorite? Does she have a favorite type of potato?
I don't think so. It doesn't say, but I thought, you know what? Dolly's one of us. Look at her
potato's
just
good.
eating a baked potato every day or something. So, yeah.
Baked potato's very good. Just a plain baked potato?
I know.
Yeah.
Those little red skin ones.
Oh, man.
Those are
good.
really good.
Yeah,
big fan of those.
I'm a big fan of sweet. She doesn't eat sweet potatoes?
I know. She didn't say anything about sweet potatoes.
I love sweet potatoes.
I'm a huge fan of sweet potatoes. Those are delicious. You know what else is delicious? I don't think I'll have time for this next one. Making good bets, though.
Yeah.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me.
I owe you nothing.
All right, I'm still, I have no idea what my last wager was. Was it successful? I don't remember. I really don't. It was, I guess I could look. Last was Monday.
It was all the way back there.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No.
Oh, I picked Edmonton in 6. Plus 500.
Well, there you go.
And I picked, I took a flyer on the Pacers to win the series at plus 530. I actually think that the Thunder are going to cruise now in that series.
Yeah, kind of looked like it last night. So
all right, you go first.
See that? Well, and you mentioned it, UFC 316. Kayla Harrison by submission came through plus 145. Joe Piper also won, and Mira beat Sean O'Malley. So that was good, but of course I didn't put any money on it. So moving on to
It's always the case.
I know. I was trying to help some friends by not betting on things to help their chances better. But tonight, Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers. This has been working for me, so I can't not do this anymore. Leon Draisaitl, anytime goal scorer, because he's on fire, plus 120.
All right, I'll give you my pick on the game tonight in a bit. But your Cubs are in Philadelphia today. This evening. Have the Cubs been on the struggle bus lately?
Sorta, with the Tigers of all teams.
What do you mean the Tigers are the best team in the American League?
I know, but
I understand. In our brains,
right?
Tigers,
the
they
Detroit
suck.
Tigers.
They don't. They're legitimately good.
My bullpen sucks.
I just saw futures odds to win the World Series. The Tigers are, I believe, the second choice in the American League behind the Yankees.
They didn't get swept, so.
Legitimately good. Cubs in Philadelphia. Philly's on a little bit of a downer. Give me the Cubs outright to win, over 7.5 plus 240.
Oh, I see that. They're dogs in that one.
Yeah.
So, next up, I've also made this bet before with the Stanley Cup final series. Period 1, goal in first 5 minutes. Yes. Plus 160.
USA played, by the way, Duke today against Murray State. Duke is a minus 250, and you can't do props on FanDuel for college baseball, nor should you be able to. But I think Duke's going to win. I hope. Fingers crossed. Anyway, tomorrow, USA Switzerland in a men's national team friendly, if there's even friendlies. I think the United States wins. Plus 195.
Nice. Well, and speaking of my Cubbies, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, he has been also in fuego. Give me him to hit a home run, anytime home run, plus 500.
Plus 500. Very nice.
Yep.
All right. Edmonton wins game 3 tonight, under 6.5 goals, plus 265. Wouldn't be surprised if we went overtime, but there you go. Oilers to win game 3.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel. They are America's #1 sports book, and here we are, stick deep in the NBA Finals. I realize that's a mixed metaphor, but it's okay. 1-1, Pacers, Thunder, and right now, new customers can get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Like, will the Pacers at one point trail by 20? Doesn't mean they won't win, but they're likely to be trailing by 20. I don't think you can bet on that, but let's have some fun. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
We have to talk to the Atlantic Coast Conference. Why in the world are State and Carolina not playing 2 college basketball games this season? For the first time in over a century, Carolina won't host State and men's basketball. What do you think your media partners want? More or less rivalries? We know the answer.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
It's bow time. Yep, it's eating time again. Now you could unload groceries, chop, dice, mince, preheat, heat, slap around the smoke detector, and then celebrate with a big old pile of dishes. But if you're tired of cooking, or tired of sorta cooking, it's time to feed the whole family with Bojangles Fried Chicken Family Meal. With Bojangles' famous chicken, fixins, biscuits, and tea, you can forget the cookbook and spend some well-earned quality time with a delicious dinner from Bojangles. It's Bo time.
There's no time like Bo time. Time to stop whatever you're doing for some of that bodacious Bojangles flavor. Satisfy your craving for flavor and your passion for boneless chicken with Bojangles 4-piece Supremes dinner. 4 perfectly seasoned Cajun fried whole breast tenderloin fillets, choice of fixin', a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit, and Bojangles legendary iced tea. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's Bo time.
Triple play, triple play, triple play. 3 ways to win on every scratch-off. They're like a 3-man wrecking crew of winning potential smashing into your bare hands. Triple threats of cold, hard cash. Prizes up to $1 million. 3 times the play, 3 times the thrills, and 3 ways to win. Triple play from the North Carolina Education Lottery with triple action-packed chances to win.
Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.84 to 4.79. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
As a busy mom, my to-do list is full.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
Visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm here sitting here, and last time I played, no, like to ego or anything, but I played her and I won in straight sets. So yeah, I don't think that's a fair thing to say because anything can really happen. And yeah, honestly, I mean, the way Irina was playing the last few weeks, she was the favorite to win. So I think she was the best person that I could have played in the final. Her being number 1 in the world, neither of them would have been a better shot, but you know, it played out how it played out, and yeah, that's why I'm here today.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the 1s and 2s. That was Coco Gauff who won the French Open Saturday. Can't think of a better example of it doesn't have to change you, the level of success. You could argue that Coco Gauff had more success, more commercial success even, than her performance deserved, but there's so many examples of athletes that don't live up to that hype. Man, is she awesome in every possible way. Congratulations to her for winning the French Open. So gracious, incredibly gracious, and grounded. Phenomenal. Good for her. After dropping the first set, although she could have gotten blown out in the first set, and she made it tight. She sort of battled back. Still lost the first set, and I think that really opened the door for her 3-set comeback. We had 2 comebacks, and you can't come back from 2 sets to love down in the women's game because they only play best of 3. But Carlos Alcaraz, and you'll hear from him in a minute, Carlos Alcaraz was down 2 sets and a break in the third and serving love 40 in the 9th game of the 3rd set, where if he gets broken, it's over. Jannik Sinner had 3 championship points on Alcaraz's serve. And Alcaraz came back, won that game, broke Sinner, ended up winning the set and then winning in a fifth set tiebreak. It was impressive the way Alcaraz just turned it around. It was a great way to be completely unproductive on a Sunday.
Yeah, that happens.
Because that basically is what happened. I mean, I still got some stuff done that I had to get done, but man, there were so many other opportunities, so many possibilities for things to get done yesterday, and that what I really accomplished was watching an incredible tennis match.
Yeah, that's what happens with me on Saturdays.
Is it Saturday is your day to do nothing?
UFC, when it's on, that's a solid 5 or 6 hours of,
But isn't that usually at night or no?
Oh, no, it's all over the place. It
Really?
depends. Like when they go to Brazil, sometimes it's earlier. They travel all over the place. But yeah, it's usually later.
All right.
I try to maybe fold laundry while I watch it. So so I'm not a complete waste.
I did. I folded 4 loads of laundry.
There you go.
During the
you are productive.
5.5 hours of tennis.
I know.
It's insane. All right, let's hear the wall of sound.
The wall of sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
It's a much smoother way to get into that, but I couldn't accomplish it. All right, college baseball over the weekend. And North Carolina fans, I know they had been cautiously optimistic, didn't want to believe, man, we are the best team, we're good. 4-3 Arizona. Carolina probably should have won the game yesterday, didn't. Bats didn't really come out and help, but defense let them down. Arizona took advantage, and here's Scott Forbes following the 4-3 loss.
So I have written on my game card a Bible verse that I look at all the time, so I'm going to revert to that. I'm not a very emotional person, so I may get a little emotional today because that's a special team in there. It just says be thankful in all circumstances, which can be extremely difficult to do. But that's what I'm going to hold on to and cling to, because that's just a really special group in there, and to see them hurting obviously is the reason for the tears, and I apologize for those. But I've been a player, been a coach a long time. Sports will rip your heart out sometime, but what I'm most thankful for and what our staff is most thankful for is how our players played, how they conducted themselves the entire season.
It's hard, man. Look, I know everybody was in some ways shocked when Vanderbilt and Tennessee, is it Vanderbilt and Tennessee? Vanderbilt and Texas, my fault, lost in the regional round because they were the top 2 seeds. But my opinion, baseball's fickle anyway. Baseball's just an unpredictable game, start to finish. And maybe with the portal, maybe not, maybe more players taking the college route than going straight from high school into minor league baseball, because the draft isn't as deep as it used to. We don't have, as Bomani Jones joked around with the 178th round pick. Like, the draft is just much smaller today than it used to be. And for whatever reason, maybe there's more talent in college that is sort of kind of squashing everybody closer together. Again, no explanation for it. But baseball's just fickle. So 1 and 2 are gone. Carolina was 5, right? Arkansas is 3. LSU 6. After that, I mean, UCLA is 15. Coastal Carolina, they're heading to Omaha. They're 13. So we don't have a lot of the top teams. Oregon State was 8. Florida State was 9. We just don't have a ton of the best still swinging. College baseball, man, is just super hard. And tonight, Duke, who didn't host a regional but is hosting this super regional. They will try and get to Omaha for the first time. Chris Pollard is the head coach, and he thinks what happened yesterday, 19-9, really, will make today even better.
And I just told our guys, this whole thing today, that's just going to make the story that much better. So there will be zero sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves. There will be zero self-pity. Our guys will get right to work on recovery, and then we'll come out tomorrow with amnesia. But for now, the rest of this evening, we'll take an opportunity to be grateful for what's happened here today, because it's going to help us be that much more ready tomorrow, and it's going to make this story that much better.
There you go. Look, it's baseball. You can lose to anybody any day. Doesn't matter. It's fickle. You can hit the ball hard all day long, and it just finds gloves. Stuff happens. I do hope Duke will win. I want to see a local team in the College World Series. We thought it was going to be North Carolina, and it sucks that it didn't happen because this was a good enough team to win it all. And I think that's probably why Tar Heel fans are hurting today, because they knew that this was a team good enough to win it all. But, man, baseball is a dice roll. On the best of days, you could lose. Good luck to Chris Pollard. Again, it's 7 o'clock, I believe. That game will start over on Duke's campus. All right, yesterday, we've talked about it a little bit. Carlos Alcaraz won the French Open. He defends his title. First time ever coming from 2-0 down to win a match, let alone a Grand Slam final. And look, a lot of people said it was the greatest match in tennis history, and I am not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying I don't view it as the greatest match. Doesn't matter. It's on a short list. In a final, to go to a fifth set tiebreak, to play as many great shots as were played by both players, Jannik Sinner, who lost, Carlos Alcaraz, who won. It certainly falls into a category of, was this the greatest match in tennis history? And of course, they asked Carlos Alcaraz, is this the greatest match? How would you rank this? And I wanted to punch somebody, but anyway, here's basically Carlos's answer to that question.
This one was the most exciting match that I've played so far, without a doubt. I mean, today I think the match had everything. Really good moments, really bad moments. Just really, really happy and proud about how I deal with everything today. I mean, it wasn't easy. The first match that I came back from 2-0 down. I think it wasn't a better occasion to do it in the final of a Grand Slam.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. It was a phenomenal match. I do believe Borg-McEnroe 1980 Wimbledon semifinal was a better match, but I mean, that was a semifinal. This was a final. I think it was Federer-Nadal in 2009, and the Wimbledon final was a better match, but maybe it was only better because, I loved both players. And, we don't really know Carlos Alcaraz that well. We know he's great. Jannik Sinner, the same thing. They've only been around. They're both in their early 20s. So, anyway, it was a phenomenal match. All right, when we got let me just add a couple of more things. Mark Kriegel is going to join us in about 10 minutes. And Kriegel is a longtime sports writer and now basically writes books. He's an essayist for ESPN. He covers boxing. And he's written biographies of Joe Namath, of Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and he's got one out about Mike Tyson. And I'm telling you, Kriegel is an incredible writer. And if he's writing a book about somebody, then it is a story worth telling. And Mike Tyson's got the most fascinating background. Not a good one necessarily.
Yeah.
But a fascinating background, where he came from, how he was used by people. And, Tyson was also his own worst enemy. But then this renaissance, this comeback of Tyson has been remarkable. Mark Kriegel will tell us what captivated him about it coming up in a little bit. But this conversation was going around yesterday, and I thought it was interesting about what type of player, what type of athlete it takes to do what Alcaraz and Sinner did yesterday. Think about playing a sport for 5.5 hours. Do you get rest? Yes. After every other game, you get to sit on a chair for 60 seconds. You do.
Whole 60 seconds.
Oh, yes. 60 seconds. You get to sit on a chair.
Lifetime.
It's
crazy.
It is incredible what those two guys did. It is an incredibly physical sport without contact. That is amazing. It is a physical game without contact. It's just incredible, these two athletes, what they were able to do. Fortunately for them, it was relatively cool. It was sub 70 degrees in Paris. Yeah. So you're not dealing with like what the heat would bring and cramps and things like that. But it was...
I could imagine that would stink, having like the heat radiate off of the clay if it was like really hot. What?
Boy. No. But just a tremendous, tremendous match. Hey, real quick football note before we break, and Mark Kriegel on the other side. The Packers released cornerback Zaire Alexander today. Should the Panthers be interested in that?
I wouldn't hate it.
All respect to Carolina's array of cornerbacks not named J.C. Horn. If you have Zaire Alexander on the other side of J.C. Horn, you've got yourself the bones of a great defense.
Yes. I would like that.
I'll just leave it there. So I talked about this in this draft. I talked about it in the last draft. Go get yourself more cornerbacks. There are certain premium positions in the NFL. Cornerback, on defense to me, defensive tackle, 1, cornerback, 2.
Right. And unfortunately, with J.C. Horn, you have to take into consideration health. You don't want him to get injured.
True.
So if we did have a backup, that would be
It would
helpful.
be good to have somebody else who could fill that role.
Right.
But man, if you got 2 of them,
yeah.
Just saying. All right, Mark Kriegel on the other side. Next.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina!
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
We have to talk to the Atlantic Coast Conference. Why in the world are State and Carolina not playing 2 college basketball games this season? For the first time in over a century, Carolina won't host State and men's basketball. What do you think your media partners want? More or less rivalries? We know the answer.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Summer is just around the corner, so as we continue to prepare for riding season, Mother Nature also likes to remind us that she can flip things on a dime. I'm Victoria Vodenecker here for Law Tigers, and I don't know how many times I've been caught in the rain during a summer ride, but it is always important to remember a few safety precautions while you're out. Make sure your tire tread is sufficient and inflated properly, avoid slick spots whenever possible, and wear reflective gear so you're as visible as possible. It's already difficult for people in vehicles to see you you, but adding rain to the mix can really make things worse. So if you're ever in a wreck on your motorcycle that wasn't your fault, always go to my friends at Law Tigers first before calling your insurance company. At Law Tigers, they're riders too, so they understand what it's like to be a rider and go through an accident. Case evaluations are always free, and you're not going to pay a dime until your case is settled. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Tuesday, June 10th, the Mexican national team comes to Chapel Hill, North Carolina to face off against Euro sensation, Turkey. Feel the excitement, experience the intensity, and all the passion. Be there as Mexico and its world stars like Raúl Jiménez, Edson Alvarez, and Santiago Jiménez take on Turkey. Tuesday, June 10th at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. For more information, visit somoslocales.com.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated the kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166171 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Gift yourself an icon, the Omega Speedmaster, known as the Moonwatch. This legendary timepiece made history as the only watch selected by NASA to withstand the extreme environment of space and was worn by astronauts on the first journey to the moon. With its timeless design and unmatched durability, the Omega Speedmaster continues to inspire adventure seekers worldwide. Find your perfect Speedmaster at Bailey's Fine Jewelry, voted best place to buy a watch. Learn more at BaileyBox.com.
This is Adam Gold.
We had lightning hit a pretty large tree.
Oh, yeah.
About 150 yards from the house. It'll be my sign to go win the lottery. But you know what? I'm sorry, I can't. I have rules. If it's not over $1 billion, I'm not playing.
Yeah, still just millions.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. When it comes to storytelling of sports, I'm not sure there's anybody better than Mark Kriegel. Namath, The Good Son, about Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and Pistol, biography of Pete Maravich. I did not talk to Mark about the Namath book, but we did talk with Mark Kriegel about the other two. Longtime sports writer for the New York Post and the New York Daily News, now with ESPN, an essayist, a boxing savant. Mr. Kriegel, how are you, sir?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a minute.
Yeah, well, you know, I've been on TV for a while. I didn't think I'd really try my hand at this stuff again. I was hoping not.
No, man, it's in your blood, though. How long have you been working on this book? By the way, I should mention the name of the book, which, of course, is The Baddest Man, the making of Mike Tyson. So how long have you been working on this?
Memorial Day 2021, and reluctantly at first.
Why reluctantly?
I owed the publisher money.
Okay.
And I got I'm real serious. And in the meantime, I'd gotten this gig doing boxing for ESPN. I really loved it, but I was in an airplane twice a week, and I didn't feel like writing a book, and I didn't feel like revisiting all the stuff I had written on Tyson in the 90s or beginning in the late 80s, actually, when he was sort of my designated villain.
Right.
Not that all of it was wrong. Some of it was overboard, but I looking back, it's like you don't want to revisit all of that stuff. And I had just torn a hamstring, so let me put it to this way, I was over-medicated. And the publisher says, hey, we need the money back now. Unless, would you consider doing Tyson? And I'm thinking, no way in hell. I thought about it some more, and maybe it was the influence of the meds, and maybe I thought, maybe I could write some kind of essay about fighting and writing and, whatever the hell it was. And that, I guess I'm not a good enough writer to write short. And one of the distinct peculiarities about Tyson is he generates so much story. So this slim, elegant essay book that I imagined became more and more biographical until 2 years later, I'm having lunch with the editor and, well, I really like it. Well, that's great, but, I have about 80,000 words here, and I don't think he's 17 yet. This is not the book we planned.
Right.
So there's a natural break, and I don't know how much you recall or care to recall of Tyson's career, but the Spinks fight, is the highlight of his boxing career, and he's ascendant. It was billed as one of these fights of the century, which is kind of a term of art in boxing, but what it really means is that the hype was overwhelming, and Trump is ascendant there.
Yeah.
It's a unique. And Trump is ascendant, and Tyson's personal life is just imploding. I don't know if imploding is actually the right word, more like exploding, because it's all being done in a very, very public way. But that's the highest he gets, I think as a fighter, and it's also a unique cultural moment for all the other stuff that I mentioned. So that's where we're ending the first volume.
So the first volume. So we're going to have more. This is look. Mark Kriegel is joining.
If I don't crack in between,
if you don't tear another hamstring, Mark Kriegel, baddest man, the making of Mike Tyson. I remember that fight vividly. I don't remember where I was when I watched it, but I watched it live, and it struck me. I'm not sure Tyson hit him in the face at all. I believe he knocked him out with a punch to the chest. Right, and basically Michael Spinks just went, I'm good. I can't deal. I don't want to deal with this anymore. It took his will right there.
No, he had been knocked down prior to that. But I mean the you're right in the sense that I think it was there's almost like a battering ram to his midsection. I think he finishes him off with another shot up top after that, but by then it was a fait accompli.
Yeah.
And what it crystallizes in around the planet is the notion of Tyson as the scary guy. I mean, Spinks was in fact a great fighter. He'd come up from light heavyweight.
Yeah.
But he was a courageous fighter too, and he had a good sense of craft. He knew what he was doing, but he certainly wasn't a tomato can. Mike made him look like that. There's a considerable amount of anecdotal evidence too that he was scared to death coming out of there. I'm sorry, my aging dog is snoring here.
Oh, it's fine.
But it crystallized the notion of Tyson as the scary guy, and that's pretty much that was unique to Tyson in the way that he directed fear onto other guys. And if you recall, or your listeners recall, he was raised in a sense or taken out of the juvenile lockup by a famous eccentric trainer by the name of Cus D'Amato, and Cus had this beautiful, poetic, almost theological idea about fear, and what set Cuss apart was this notion of how you stand up to the bully and how a fighter in particular deals with his or her own fear. And we all got it. Fighters have it in abundance. What was unique about Tyson and ironic in the case of D'Amato wasn't the idea of Tyson overcoming the bully, although he did have, his own reservoir of fear, but the way he became the bully himself and fractured other guys before they ever stepped into the ring. And it made him a really magnetic figure. I mean, there's a matchmaker who told me early on in his career, he literally has to push the opponents out of their dressing room because he was so damn scared. And, these are professional fighters, and to remember them all as like tomato cans is nonsense. Yeah. They were American heavyweights, and a lot of them were well-trained, and for whatever reason or for a variety of reasons, they were scared to death of Tyson.
Mark Kriegel is joining us here, author of Baddest Man, The Making of Mike Tyson, came out last week. Now, you said you had written a lot about it, about Tyson, and a lot of it was true, but obviously some of it you feel now was, if I'm kind of reading between the lines, maybe somewhat unfair. What was so difficult about covering, in retrospect, covering Mike Tyson, the fighter, Mike Tyson, the person, Mike Tyson, the personality?
Oh, I mean, look, my first Tyson assignments, I was a general assignment reporter, basically covering like cops and courts, and
right.
I was covering like the effect of drugs and drug dealers in Brooklyn North, which is where he came from. Right. I did a lot of stuff in Brownsville, where Mike was from, and it's almost like that had been the original home of Murder Incorporated, and another kind of Murder Incorporated had grown up around it. I didn't know him as a sports writer. I didn't know him as some of the other guys did who came up with him, and by the time I was a sports columnist, I knew what the gig was about. It was like, hey, I'm glad, Mark, you want to be like some kind of poet of the streets, but we want red meat here. And I knew my end of the bargain. And I don't mean it as cynically as it sounds. There's also this sense, especially, you got to remember, like the big thing in sports those days was the columnist. That was in some measure the opinion maker. It was long, there was no internet, and there was a sense, especially in New York. I'm a young guy, like you got to be tough. You can't, you can't let anyone get away with anything. A lot of it's like phony tough guy stuff.
Right.
And I didn't, I'm not even sure I understood in full measure the kind of role I was playing. And Tyson had certainly done enough to warrant being depicted as the bad guy. I just think that my particular depiction of him lacked nuance. I mean, look, when you're a kid, you're writing for a tabloid newspaper. Nuance is not the first, the first priority on the agenda.
Right.
I don't think I was necessarily a hack either. There's a difference. But I had by the time I had covered him, I began to cover him as a sports writer. His life was a mess.
Yeah.
And this book is in large measure an attempt to understand A, the mess, but B, why. And I always hesitate to use the word we, but it works here. Why we, as a culture, a country, like a planet, still addicted to this guy, and that's a unique phenomenon too.
Mark Kriegel is joining us here.
Yeah,
I've only got one more question. We only have a couple more minutes left. He was a fascinating sports figure to cover because when he was first coming up, he was fighting basically every 3 weeks. He was back in the ring, I mean, mauling somebody who wasn't going to last very long in the ring with him. And as you said before, there were a lot of fighters who were beaten, didn't want to even come out of the dressing room and deal with it. But it happened pretty quickly that he went from, early in his career to the champ. And I want to get really, really quick, and this will be the last thing we do, the title, The Making of Mike Tyson, was he in some way created? Basically.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
Right?
I think is your question. Of course, he was created. He was built in a way that no one ever has been built before or since. I think. Was it a counterfeit creation? Not really. What lacked nuance, what had some kind of BS to it, was this whole notion of cussing the kid. I think that Cuss was asking Mike, make me live forever. And, of course, Mike, in fact, as you told me, does. But there are other elements in there. This is the first video generation, so you can clip things on VCR. And all of his knockouts were sent to every sports editor and local sports anchor around the country. So there's a unique visual quality. The guy stumbling all over the ring after he cracks him. The other elements are when you put the microphone in front of him and what he says, and you're trying to reconcile what he's saying, the quality of his voice, the lisp, the high pitch, with the destruction you've seen, that stays with you. That stays with you. And you next time you see, you go, wait, I got to stop. I got to watch this. And I think that it's remained with all of us. And you're still trying to reconcile who is this guy, and is he a villain? Is he a hero? Or what in between?
I mean, the whole thing is, it's got to be a fascinating story. I received the book yesterday, so I'm going to dig into it. Mark,
Hope you like it, brother.
Man, I'm going to like it because I've liked the others. You're a great writer. Don't sell yourself short. Mark Kriegel, author, Baddest Man: The Making of Mike Tyson. For those people here, they probably did read Pistol, the biography of Pete Maravich, because he went to Broughton High School just down the street from where we are. I want to talk to you again. Have a great rest of the summer, but I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Adam. Have a great day, man.
You got it. Mark Kriegel here on the Adam Gold Show. It's absolutely fascinating. Like, it's obviously not good. I mean, we had somebody go to prison for sexual assault, which is what derailed his career. Might have been some other way he derailed his career other than that, but that was what sent him away. And when he came back, it was just a holy mess. But man, and I was not even a huge boxing fan. I've never been a Tyson fan. But we could have gone on for another 15 minutes because I have more questions about this iteration of Mike Tyson. Just he had a one-man play, which actually came to Durham not that long ago. So, fascinating story, fascinating individual, great writer, Mark Kriegel, Baddest Man: The Making of Mike Tyson. When we come back, Aaron Fitt tells us how disappointed we should be in the fact that Tar Heels did not advance to Omaha, and we'll talk about Duke versus Murray State tonight. Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NBA Finals are underway, and FanDuel's the best place to find all your favorite player props. And now you can do everything right within the app with new performance trends, especially if it's after tip-off, because FanDuel is the place for live betting of the NBA Finals. New customers, $200 in bonus bets to you if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Why choose a family physician? Because they provide healthcare expertise for the entire family, care for acute and chronic disease, treat all ages, and most importantly, keep you healthy. In fact, adults with a family physician have lower health care costs, better health outcomes, and are hospitalized less frequently. Family Physicians, your trusted healthcare advisor for you and your family for life. Brought to you by the NC Academy of Family Physicians.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Bluebell Groom's Cake Ice Cream is renewing its vows on the frozen aisle. Milk chocolate ice cream with chocolate cake pieces, chocolate-coated strawberry hearts, swirls of strawberry sauce, and chocolate icing. See you at the reception.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month, we're talking about a major collaboration that's making waves in Iredell County. Kim Holland, Development Coordinator for the Iredell Health Foundation, tells us about Whole 3.
The goal of the collaborative is about addressing the complex and interwoven challenges that many families in Iredell County face. And, things like poverty, lack of access to health care, and educational disparities. So it's designed as truly a collaborative. It's community-led initiative. We're bringing together schools, nonprofits, health systems, and families to build a system that actually works for families, not just around them.
Learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And learn more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Healthcare? Why?
Why is it so hard?
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
Really?
Really. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting all your benefits, prescriptions, and details on your computer and phone. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
All of us have a role to play in promoting a mental health friendly workplace. Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
Because if interrupting is part of the talent, then she wins.
Giving an RBF face? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everybody saw it.
I didn't say it. I
that picture
did not say that.
When they were asking Bill and she interrupts him and they look at her, that's evil. Like,
yeah.
I was waiting for the lights to come out of her pupils.
You're not wrong.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. 7 o'clock tonight, the only remaining game from Super Regional action, Duke and Murray State on Duke's campus for the final spot in Omaha. Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com. Great clubhouse guy joins us to discuss it. But first, sir, your level of surprise at what happened in Chapel Hill over the weekend is what?
That's a great question because, Adam, I got in hot water with the people in Chapel Hill because I didn't pick North Carolina to go to Omaha heading into the NCAA tournament. I did think, as good as they were and as hot as they were, there are a few things that concerned me. The youth in the bullpen, that lack of maybe depth of the bullpen. I mean, after they lost Matthew Mateus to injury, I mean, he was kind of the key veteran guy back there. It felt like there weren't a lot of guys they really trusted. And once McDuffie, we talked about the youth. You always worry about freshmen hitting that wall late in the season. And for whatever reason, it was just, the first time going through the cauldron or just, more innings than you're used to throwing. I mean, for whatever reason, it just felt like McDuffie at the end, he couldn't command the fastball as well. And guys could just spit on that slider because it was a chase pitch. And it just felt like he was kind of been figured out. And so that scared me just a little bit. The defense was mostly good this year, but I'm not shocked that the defense let them down at the end of that game. I mean, I don't want to call anybody out by name, but I mean, Gavin Gallagher was prone to some mistakes at times. I mean, Vanderbrake kicking that routine double play ball was probably the biggest surprise of the whole thing to me, because that's your 6-year senior captain,
right?
Rock solid. I hate it for the kid. Just a terrible way for his season, his career to end. A play that they probably win that game. You hate to say it, but they probably win that game if he handles that ground ball and turns two. That's baseball. It stinks. It's the hard part of the game, is that a really good player who had a really good year can make a mistake, and that's the one that costs you. But they wouldn't have been there without him, and I'm sure that's what everyone in that program would tell you.
So bullpen and defense, and those are like we could talk about hitting all day long. I watch enough big league baseball, and we get to the playoffs. 3 things that I believe determine wins: your bullpen, your defense, and base running. These things that don't necessarily, we all see extra base hits and OPS and all these things, fastballs and strikeouts, but it's really those things that determine whether or not you win and you lose. Carolina's bats also went pretty quiet yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they scored 18 runs in the opener, and then you credit Arizona. I mean, that's a team that the strength of its team is a good veteran bullpen, and they had just a little bit more depth in the bullpen. Their freshman matched Carolina's freshman for the most part starting that game. I mean, Lynch was a little bit better than Smith Bailey, but Bailey did what he had to do to keep them in that game and give their bullpen a chance to win it. And so, look, I mean, Carolina was right there. I mean,
right.
Again, you make a double play, you move on, you might win it all. I mean, that's how fine the line is here. So I don't want to say, oh, I saw this coming. Like, it could have gone a lot of different ways. This was a really good North Carolina team. Obviously, it stinks for those guys. They're very disappointed because they thought they had a shot to win it all. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, as well as they've been playing for the last 2.5 months, it really felt like this team was peaking at the right time, and they just couldn't get that last game.
All right, now take me over to Duke's campus today as they try to erase 19 Murray State runs. What happened?
Yeah, Murray State's good. They really can hit. It's just they grind you down. If you look up and down their lineup, I think they've got 5 guys who have at least as many walks as they have strikeouts, which is pretty rare in today's game, where so many guys are selling out for power. And they have power too, but it's one of those teams that, it's like, I remember when Jay Johnson, who's now the coach at LSU, he was at Arizona and they were playing for national championship, and he described his approach as, hey, it's either a ball or it's a double. It's a ball or a double. And that's kind of like what this team is. It's just line drives or we're taking,
right.
And if you're going to leave the ball over the middle of the plate, they're going to hammer it. They'll foul off, or they'll take a good quality pitcher's strike. But when you make a mistake, this team just seems like they're all over it. And so, they got on Kyle Johnson early. There was a lot of ball over the middle. I mean, and the same with Gabe Nard when he came out of the bullpen, just a bunch of sliders right over the middle, got hammered. And, of course, Duke compounded that with walks that hit batsmen and errors, and they really didn't play a clean baseball game at all. And so that's a bad combination. But all that said, I mean, they were down 10-3, and they fought back and made it 10-8. They were right in that thing. And then Murray State just kind of stepped on the gas again. But it's the fact that Duke was chasing most of that game did allow them to keep a lot of their big bullets fresh now. I mean, they didn't have to use Reed Easterly yesterday. They didn't have to use James Talon yet in the series, so he's fresh and really, I think, a guy that they can extend and get some length out of today.
Aaron Fitt is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Just to your point about Murray State, these are their run totals. They have played, if I'm not mistaken, 6 games so far in the NCAA tournament. 9, 13, 8 in a loss, 12, 4. Duke shut them down, and 19. So Murray State's averaging about 10 runs a game, which is difficult to hold down. But Duke can hit too. As they scored 9 runs yesterday in a loss. So walk me through how Duke approaches today, and then I have some other kind of psychological angles for this.
Yeah, they're going to start Henry Zetkowski, the freshman left-hander. He's a very, very talented kid. He's got a very bright future. They're not going to ask him to go 7 innings. I mean, if he gives them a solid 4, I think that's a win. And then you go to Easterling and Talon and whoever else you need to kind of mix and match back there. But that's just the way this pitching staff is built. And the fact that they have those weapons all kind of fresh is a good thing for them. And there's other guys that they can bring back too if they need to. But it's mostly lefties that you're going to see. That's how this staff is built. And they scored 9 runs yesterday too, right? I mean, their offense is also pretty dialed. So, I would think this park will play a little bit less offensive at night than it does at day. That's not a hard and fast rule, but typically I think the ball will jump a little bit more on a hot, humid 12 o'clock start than it will at 7 o'clock start. So maybe it'll be a little bit less offensive today.
Yeah, and Duke's bullpen is the strength of its team, or at least the strength of its pitching staff. And their bullpen, as you mentioned, is rested. And if they can get a lead, maybe it just plays into Duke's favor that they got trucked yesterday.
Yeah, again, the fact that they were chasing, all day. They fell behind early, so there's no reason for us to bring our dudes into a game that we're losing. Let's make sure we're fresh for tomorrow. It was the right way to play it. Even when they got to 10-8, they thought about it. I think Pollard said if it was a 1-run game, maybe we go to Easterly there. And if it's as a tie game, we go to Talon there. But down by 2, let's wait, and hey, maybe, you can argue they should have gone all in for it, but you run out of outs. It's like the 7th inning. I mean, I think it makes sense to play it the way they did. And, Talon is a dude, man. He's so good right now. It's just better than he's ever been in his career. And he was great as a freshman, but he is really, I think, capable of dominating anybody. And so I look forward to seeing what he can do tonight.
What would this mean? Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com, is joining us here. What would this mean for Duke to reach Omaha?
Yeah, I mean, clearly it would be enormous, for this program that has gotten here to this point repeatedly. Their 4th super regional now under Chris Pollard for a program that, again, hadn't even been to a regional in like 60 years before they broke that snap under Pollard. It's incredible how far the program has come, but I think they've lost like 5 or 6 straight games now that would have gotten them to Omaha. Once they won the first game of Super Regional or whatever it was, if they got a little bit of it had some trouble getting over that last little hump. And so it just, it changes a lot for your program once you can get to College World Series. It really does. Just breaking through can be the hardest part. And then you can kind of get freed up as a program once you've done it. But obviously this program has a lot of momentum regardless, all these super regionals and the facilities work that's underway.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like about the direction they're headed.
And there's also the added pressure of all of a sudden you've never hosted a regional, now you're hosting a super regional, and the burden of expectations I don't know if it doubles, what percentage it raises the pressure, but all of those things are working against Duke as well. Yeah. Final thing for you, Aaron, then we'll let you get over to the ballpark if that's where you're headed. Virginia saw their coach go to Mississippi State. How difficult will it be for Duke? Because I know Chris Pollard, when he first got here, talked a lot about modeling the program after what they had done at UVA. How difficult will it be for Duke to retain Chris Pollard?
Well, the fact of the matter is, it feels like a perfect fit. I mean, if I'm Virginia, that's absolutely the guy that I'm going after. And, I think he's from Central Virginia. I think he still has family up there. Yep. It feels like a really good fit. They certainly have, even though Duke is, again, a program with momentum, I mean, they have a lot more resources devoted to baseball at UVA. I mean, that ballpark is awesome. And, all the revenue sharing stuff. I mean, I know it's not what Mississippi State's doing. That's why Brian O'Connor left, but it's still really, really good. I mean, and the brand name that they have in baseball up there, there's a lot. I mean, it's just a great job. One of the best jobs in the country, in my opinion, UVA. And so, I don't know how it's going to go, but I would have to imagine they're going to put on the full court press, and it might be hard for him to say no.
Aaron Fitt, I appreciate your time. Always hard for me to say no to you, although I'm always the one that asks. But that's fair. I appreciate you not saying no and coming on and talking to me today. Have fun tonight, and we will. You're my info about college baseball, so I'll talk to you very soon.
Always a pleasure, Adam.
Talk to you later. That would be, first of all, Duke getting Omaha would be just amazing. But when I saw the news that O'Connor was leaving UVA to go to Mississippi State, I went, there are certain things that when you speak to people for the first time, it resonates, it just stays with you. And it might have been the first time I talked to Chris Pollard, because he was at App before coming to Durham. And I talked to him about what are, we've got examples of schools like Duke creating really good, lasting, winning programs. And I didn't even necessarily, don't think I mentioned Vanderbilt or Wake Forest. And he brought up, we want to do what UVA has done. And that has always stuck with me. I hope that Duke can do what is necessary to keep Chris Pollard here, because Pollard, to me, is as good as you get. We are blessed here to have incredible baseball coaches. Elliot Avent, Scott Forbes, Chris Pollard, right here. Blessed to have that. I hope Duke's able to keep Chris Pollard, because what he has built here is a year in and year out expected, not a team that wins, but a team that is expected to win. And that, in many ways, is more impressive than a team that wins as often as they do. All right, who do you have tonight in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Victoria?
See, I feel like the Panthers are going to go off momentum for the first game, but I do think it's going to go back and forth.
Oh, I do think I think we're going to come out of this series, or come out of these two games, 3 and 4, at 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
And then the winner of Game 5 will win Game 6.
Yeah.
I don't believe we're going 7. Last year we went 7.
Yeah.
I think 2-2 series. Whoever wins Game 5 will win Game 6. I do think that both goaltenders have been mostly excellent.
Right.
I think there have been moments that both goalies went, yeah, probably should have had that.
Yeah.
So
I'll give Skinner credit. He's that last game. Woo! He was standing on his head the whole time.
He is a tough customer.
Yeah.
Really is.
He's improved a lot, from my opinion, from last season.
He's all over the place.
Yes.
He plays at times that makes you go, How can they ever win a Stanley Cup? And then he goes the other way, he shows you the other side. Bob has been more steady. Yeah, but and I think Skinner's going to have to do it again. But boy, there's so much talent on the ice. And I just wish that your guy, Zach Hyman, was still around for the series.
I know. I'm telling you, if he was, might be a different ball game. But.
All right, Victoria, thank you very much. As always, if you're heading out to TST, have a good time tonight. See you.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls.